2021 meeting of the Town of Southampton Planning Board in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order 202.1 and its related extensions until further notice. All of the board's meetings will be held remotely via video conference, so we ask the public to continually check the town's website for updates and new information. Can we have a roll call, please, Glorian?
Chair Lufaro.
Present.
Vice Chair Finity.
Present.
The Secretary is here. Board Member Catalinato.
Here.
Board Member Long.
Robin.
Board Member Long. Robin.
Robin? Does she have any audio? She's here.
She's here, but I don't know if she could hear us.
You need confirmation on the record for her to be present.
Yeah.
Charles, can you?
I'm doing what I can. Let's see.
And well, Board Member Zuccarelli, while we're waiting. John,
Yeah, she has no audio. So-
you're muted.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kathleen, can you send Robin in the chat a note?
I
I
am.
just did.
Okay. All right, well, she's present visually, but not audibly, so we can proceed.
Yes, we have a quorum. We've got five of seven.
Thank you. Okay. Please join in for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America,
and
and
to the
to the
republic
republic
for which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty and justice for all.
So continuing, we have a full agenda posted on the town's website for today's meeting. The town's planning staff, as well as applicants and their representatives, will be participating via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. Charles Certain will be muting and holding the speakers in a virtual waiting room until it's their time to give testimony before the board. A reminder that applicants and their agents should state their name and address for the record. As is typical, there are no public comments allowed during our daytime meetings, nor is it appropriate for the public to use the chat function to comment on applications. The link to participate in this meeting via Zoom can be found on the town's website. This meeting is also being live streamed on the town's website of the town clerk's meeting portal. If you're having difficulty accessing the meeting, please visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. It's good to know. Board members who must recuse themselves from any application will state so on the record and will be removed from the meeting until the end of the discussion and vote on that application. Finally, in accordance with the governor's order, this meeting will be recorded and transcribed at a later date and will be made available to the public.
Can you hear us, Robin?
Robin? No, she's having difficulty.
It says her audio is on. Then.
It may not well be. Okay, so we're going to close out today's session and go into a work session.
Okay.
Anthony, that's yours. That's 890 Scuttle Hole Road, LLC.
Yep, and I believe Rob Fischetti is here for the work
Okay.
session.
I will get him.
Okay, the board could see that, correct?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. All right, is Rob here or?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so we looked at this quickly on a completeness review. This is a subdivision on Scuttle Hole Road. Here's Atlantic Golf Course. The application involves, and I'm not sure if you could see my cursor or not, but
Yes, we can.
okay, good. It involves subdividing this front piece down here, which has an existing single-family residence and several farm structures, and to subdivide this piece of property into two lots, one lot here, one lot on the vacant piece. This is a lot that was created as part of a subdivision. I don't remember when, in the 70s or 80s. This piece was created, and then a larger piece was created back here. In addition to this two-lot subdivision, this larger piece back here, over the course of a number of years, all this land was preserved through development rights sales to both the town and the county. And basically, it looks like it was 4 lots that were essentially parceled off through a development rights sale. One up in the frontier along Noyak Path, another one up here along Noyak Path, and then a longer one down here, and another longer one on the side. It is my understanding that while tax map numbers were issued and deeds were filed consistent with development rights sale, the lots were never created or formally created. So they've included that as part of the subdivision to actually formally create these lots, of which have already been preserved. I also think there may be some potential lot line discrepancy. I'm not really sure, but that's why I had the applicant came in today so we can discuss how this came to be and what we're doing. With that, I would ask Rob to talk to the board about, what this application is for.
So Anthony, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
How could they issue development rights if they hadn't created the lot?
The development rights sale included, a specific amount. It gets a meets and bounds description. So, for example, this one over here that you see, it was a development rights sale. In that case, both the town and the county. And basically, what happens is a deed is drafted with a meets and bounds description that describes the area that's being preserved. They don't need to subdivide land to preserve it. That's one of the big things about the development rights program, especially back in the day. They could just go ahead and sell the development rights, and then a deed would be created that essentially defined the boundaries of that development rights sale.
And that's what we're missing?
No, I mean, like I said, the development rights sale occurred on these 4 lots. And then these lots essentially receive tax map numbers to reflect each of the development rights sales. This lot was created through development rights sale. This lot was created through development rights sale. This one and this one. But it was done through deed only. So they never went through the actual formal subdivision process.
Okay, I understand it now.
Yeah. So now they're going through the formal process to sort of memorialize what happened all those years ago. And I think,
Madam Chair, if I may quickly, what came out of this in an effort to try to discourage this happening more often is your 1 lot waiver provision at 292-44, where one of the lots is going to be sold to the town. So we're trying to encourage going forward that they are done by subdivision.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Anthony, can I ask you, these are now ag parcels, correct?
Correct. They're all preserved and with ag easements on them. Correct.
So if we create single and separate lots, they could be conveyed to different parties. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I believe they could be conveyed to different Well, yes, that's correct. Dennis. If you subdivide them,
subject to those easements.
Subject to those easements. Correct.
Right,
Sorry.
but right now they couldn't be conveyed. It would have to retain as one agricultural block. I mean, one of the goals is if you start fragmenting this farmland, one farmer, one ag owner might want to, have a couple horses. The other one might want to grow some herbs. I don't know what's the policy as far as fragmenting existing ag reserves and parceling them off.
This is one of the reasons why we're having this discussion with the applicant to sort of see, how this came to be, and through the previous development rights sale. I don't know that there is a specific policy, Dennis. I think what you say is accurate.
But our concern in prior years, our concern is that when these ag parcels become so small, there's a strong possibility that they don't get farmed. In other words, the ag advisory committee will weigh in on this, but
that's correct.
They've been telling us over the years that you need a certain aggregate size to make it viable to get equipment and undertake agriculture on ag parcels. And if we parcel them out, it could be someone's, walking path or just private garden, and they don't fall. It removes them from bona fide agriculture. That's been our concern in the past.
Yep. No, I understand, Dennis. And, again, that's why, I brought the applicant in to sort of see what we can hash out here. But yes, what you say is 100% accurate.
And Anthony, am I correct? It looks like the two middle parcels, the one I'm going to say to the east, has a small access off of Scuttle Hole Road. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then the one from this western access for the middle, it looks like it's coming through another farm field. Oh, I don't.
Yeah, it's this, and this is part of the reason why I brought the applicant in, is that it was a little unclear to me what the issue was here with the lot lines. To me, it's a little unclear. I actually, I'm not entirely sure. So let's see if we could get some answers from the applicant.
Because otherwise those two middle parcels have, well, at least one, it appears, doesn't have access. So how could you farm it if you can't
Correct.
put it in there?
That's one of the issues. Yep.
Okay, let's hear from Rob. Is he here? Mr. Fischetti?
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I was on mute. Hi, Robert Fischetti, attorney for the applicant, Ferdinand Fischetti, 320 Hampton Road, Southampton. My client, Ross Conklin, is actually on to, I don't know if he's been included, but he may have some useful information as we go along. If it's okay, if you wouldn't mind including him in, I'll keep going, but if you
Can you repeat his name, please?
Ross Conklin.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. So a couple of things. So yes, this property was in the front. Would it be okay if I shared my screen just to
Yeah,
show?
please. Let me stop screening there.
Okay.
By all means.
So let me just find. Okay. Sorry, just bear with me one sec. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now? So I have the subdivision map up here, but I'm gonna just jump back to the minor subdivision map. If I can get to that. So there was in 1976, when the property was subdivided by minor subdivision, as you can see on the south portion there was an access created. Unfortunately, that never really came to fruition. So just backing up a little, my clients are the representative for a trust. This was done, years ago before they had, control of the property. It's a family property. That part of the goal of this is to clean all of this stuff up so that it's not, done at a later time when the trust is, comes into effect to deal with all of this stuff. So that is one discrepancy that certainly we are here. And if you'll see in our proposed map that we do include an access to that back property, a 30-foot access along there to solve that problem. Part of what we think happened was in the development rights were supposed to take that leg access, but instead they took, if you can see my cursor, this sort of odd bite out of the back of lot 6 here, and it ended up being its own little lot. And that's another thing that we're looking to correct. You can see a little better on the current tax map page here that additional piece there was done. We sort of think what it should have been was over here to create the access, and things got off track during the development right process. So that is part of our goal, is to create the proper access on this side. There is the potato barn on the north part. And there is, if you can see, I'll go back again to the current tax map. There is about 100-foot wide access there. We adjusted that a little to try to level off and clean up the boundary lines and go around the potato barn. But my understanding is that's not really an effective access, because there is this other structure, and it's not quite set up as a useful access, which is, I think, the ultimate goal was the access down here on the south side. Um, the the so the lots in the back, excuse me, yes, were created by the development rights. There, as you can see on the subdivision map, there are separate ownerships. The town of Southampton owns lot 4, but then I believe lot 2 is a little bit of a mix. We did submit the development right deeds with the application. And I don't know, I couldn't tell you offhand, but we can of course clarify how the property is currently farmed. I couldn't, at the moment tell you exactly how that fits into the the 4 separate lots. But my client might be able to chime in on that. But it's something that is, they are owned separately. They're in separate, single and separate ownership at this point. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head how far back that went, but we did submit, all of that with the application as well. We understand that doing what we're doing will require a little bit of cleaning up to the development rights, but we think it makes sense overall to have the cleaner lot lines on the front 2 lots going forward. We tried to create them so there was as little variance relief as possible needed. I think there will be perhaps a little bit relating to the barn or the potato house, I should say. But we tried to keep it as, as clean as we could while still respecting the way that you can't see the driveway of the house lot on here, but we tried to sort of keep it as clean as we could.
So it looks like you've put an access point, not only impacting the potato house, but an old cottage that shows up on the.
Well, we didn't put that. That's already there. That if you see that access is already there. We just just adjusted
there?
the line a little. Yes.
The buildings were there.
Yes, that's all. That's all as is. That's.
Well, I don't know how that can be, but I can, Anthony.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
mean,
little mess. I don't quite understand what we're doing.
It is a little bit of a mess. It is my understanding, Jackie, that when that lot was created, those structures were there. I will double check, obviously.
I believe, actually, I apologize that my client just clarified that the old cottage is no longer there. The potato house is there, but the old cottage is no longer there. So I don't know. I guess the Squires and Holden will have to update the map, and we'll make sure that they do.
And so the
old
farm
cottage is gone.
it's what's being farmed here?
The all of the rear lots are being farmed. If we can, was my client able to join? He might be able to answer
Yes.
more of these. It's corn and potatoes, I know. But oh yeah, there they are. Ross, if you can turn your unmute yourself there. Should be on the bottom left.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So presently the farm.
Can you just give us your name, please, for the record?
My name is Ross Conklin.
And are you the owner of something?
We are, my brother and I, who is here as well, we are trustees of the trust for this farm that my uncle Benjamin Conklin owns. And my brother and I are in line to inherit.
And the entire parcel? What?
Not the entire parcel, no. The 10 acres, 9.5 acres, which Rob has as lot 5 and lot 6, are presently in another trust. It's a qualified trust. My siblings, I have a couple of other siblings and a cousin that are, we are running involved in that trust. But my uncle is still alive with that, so.
Are they part of this application?
Yes, all the record owners are part of the application.
And they've all signed off that I have the ability to make decisions on this application.
Okay. So what is it that we're doing here?
We are trying to clean up lot lines, make access on the west side, and give a little more space around the potato house, and subdivide.
You want to subdivide lot 6?
Yes.
Yes, lot 6 would be the only new building lot.
What's the zoning here? Or,
CR 80, I believe. It's CR 80.
and it's a 4.45 acre lot.
Yeah, I mean, the lot in the front, the lots 5 and 6, which is, a lot, is roughly 9.5 acres, something like that.
But 5 is already subdivided off.
No, that's one of the proposed lots. Lot 5 and 6 are essentially one lot right now. And part of this application would be to subdivide that lot into 2 lots.
I see. So
So nothing in
Yes,
the
that
back.
house is already, the barn and the house and everything is already there. That's already a functioning lot with a CO, it has a pre-existing CO in 2009.
So Anthony, we're not doing anything with those back parcels, correct?
It seems like they are formally creating those lots that to be consistent, largely, I guess, to be consistent with the development rights sale that created them.
You'd be acknowledging the meets and bounds as described in those TDRs.
Although, Kathleen, we do have to look at it a little more closely because I do not believe the meets and bounds description, for example, for the one lot behind number 6, doesn't include this 30-foot wide strip of land that gives it access. So we got to look at how we do this. I spoke to Dave Wilcox, Jackie, and members of the board, and obviously this will have to. Remember, this is a pre-application. This will get referred to the appropriate agencies with the town and the county to weigh in, being that they're the ones that purchase the development rights. Because I'd be curious to see what they have to say about this.
Is there a current license agreement for somebody farming it?
Yes.
for farming the back
There-
2 parcels?
The back 2 parcels, all the way, and including lot 6 is all under crop, well, will be under crop. And it's been corn and potatoes, and it's been every single year.
Are those rear agricultural parcels you mentioned earlier, they're separately owned? They're owned by separate parties?
They are separately owned. This land was owned by my father and my uncle. And when my grandfather passed away, he gave my father, Thomas Conklin, the lot 1 and lot 3. And then when the development rights were sold to both Southampton Town and then Southampton Town and Suffolk County, that's where those lines came up. The lots 1 and 3 are owned by an LLC called Conklin Strong Farms. And presently, my brother Thomas Conklin and myself, Ross Conklin, own 100% of Conklin Strong Farms.
Okay, so we're not involved in anything on the rear parcels, correct? They're already been divided, the map has been filed.
No, there is no subdivision map for those rear parcels. There are separate tax maps.
How did they get conveyed separately?
Well,
That's my question, Dennis. How did they do that?
We couldn't really say that sort of predates anybody's involvement. We did include the development right deeds for that.
What year
but
were
as-
those deeds, Rob?
there was one in 1982, and then the others were in, I believe it was 2007.
So the county recorded those deeds without an underlying subdivision map, is that correct?
That's
Yes, it appears so, yes.
That's correct, Dennis. That's exactly right.
So that is part of what we were hoping to clean up. And in doing that, since they made some jagged lines in the front here where they did not follow the previous minor subdivision, which had access along the bottom here, we're trying to clean that up and to also clean up this jagged piece here by having in the subdivision map a straight line across Now the subdivision map, the paper copies have, I believe, are in color coded, so you can distinguish these lines a little bit better. Unfortunately, that didn't come through on the PDF, but the idea is to straighten that out so that there's an even line, and then using that extra square footage to establish this access directly to Scuttle Hole on the southwest side here.
When you say they did those lines, who are you referring to?
Probably the
Ever
CPF
controlled this
department.
property back in 2009? I couldn't say off the top of my head, but I guess it was perhaps the grantor of the trust.
All right, but Bob, I see two central issues facing our board right now. The front two lots, the access issues, I think it's pretty straightforward, and we can, have staff and work with you to iron that out, and that certainly makes a lot of sense. I think that the larger issue, though, is to moving forward with breaking up, as I mentioned before, the large agricultural tract in the back that is in a quasi-legal status. Deeds are separately owned, but there was no map ever filed or recorded by this town. And I think that's a big issue we're going to be facing, because, as I mentioned before, the intent is to retain these large agricultural blocks as much as possible. In fact, when we do cluster subdivisions, we'll cluster the lots away from an existing ag parcel so as to sort of assemble large blocks. And I don't know how we're going to deal with these ag tracts in the back.
I know there's a good amount of topo on lot 4. I don't know how the actual functioning farm land falls onto this. I know, I'll have to speak to my client more about it, but they are separately owned at this point. I couldn't, track the history of that all back for you here off the top of my head, but they are separately owned, and they are separately conveyed as far as the development rights. As far as who conveyed those development rights and who, and who received them.
Well, I think that's something, as Dennis said, you have to sort out. I mean, it's nothing that the planning board can determine. You have to do some kind of historical research. I also just want to add in a concern that if these are actively farmed, you need some sufficient access for farm machinery getting in and getting out.
Yes, I mean, the rear lots do
lots
also.
2 and lots of 4. Lots 1 and 3 are also farmed? No,
Yes.
they are.
Yes, and they butt right onto Noyak Path there.
They butt onto Noyak. So the entrance is on, do you have an entrance on Noyak?
That's all, the frontage. 1 and 3 have full frontage along Noyak Path. Noyak Path. It runs behind the
Yep.
golf course there. I don't know if it's paved now, but it used to be a dirt road. For years.
It's not. It's dirt.
It's dirt, right? Yeah. Good spot to bring machinery in.
Okay, so it'll come in from that end.
And lot 4, we're going to give them an access off Scuttle Hole. Is that the plan?
Yes.
Yes, and again, Dennis, the big thing is that being that the development rights have already taken place, obviously, a long time ago, and they've been, described as a meets and bounds, a Schedule A that describes them. Obviously, we got to consult with CPF or whoever we need to consult with, the Farmland Bureau, because we're essentially changing the description now of that parcel, which I presume would include now a 30-foot strip of land that has not been preserved, by the way, that for which the development rights were not sold. So
yes, the development rights net out the same. So we made sure that the surveyor in what exists now and what proposed,
gotcha,
that they net out the same. So it's really a matter of cleaning up the lines, but not taking any preserved land away. And we're talking about, relative to the whole property, pretty minor adjustments to the.
I mean, another option to grant access to lot 4 is to grant an easement over lot 3 in the back along Noyak Path. It might be more feasible to bring the farm equipment in from Noyak Path. I mean, Scuttle Hole, that stretch of road.
Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, but because
that would be much better. Much better.
Grant an easement and bring all the ag equipment
in from Noyak. Yeah.
Although that would result in a landlocked parcel, but it's not a building parcel. It's an ag parcel. And that would give you a larger,
Lot 6 would be better.
Lot 6.
Yeah, we just have to double check those documents because these things could be deemed an alienation. So we just have to be careful. We'll
Oh,
go over it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said to the board, it's a little tricky. There's some things going on. But I think that, we got the gist of from the applicant. What I would suggest is I'm going to speak with the applicant, get some more additional information. That way, when we could get a complete application, we could put it on and I could do my referrals because I'm really curious to get the feedback from the county and the town as it relates to the parcels, that were preserved. So, and Dennis, I think the suggestions from the board are good about access and some of these larger issues, and we'll see how how it comes out in the pre-app report.
Okay, so I think we've been helpful.
Yeah, no,
Yes, no, this is very helpful. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
So Anthony will follow up with you.
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
you.
Rob, for coming.
Okay, we'll close out the work session and go into the afternoon session. And the first item on the agenda is Janice, the town board resolution for amending 335 definitions. Is Janice here? No.
I just sent her the
She's
link.
here. She's
So,
here.
yep.
I'm letting
She's
her.
here. Okay.
Takes a minute.
And Robin is still trying to get in.
Who?
Robin, she said she's still trying to get
Oh,
in.
yeah. I got her. It's a big list today. Hey,
Oh,
Sorry, Robin.
that was,
there she
hi,
is.
that's okay. That was exciting.
Yes, we wondered. We had this vague look on your face.
I keep changing equipment. I finally guess I figured it out. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, everybody.
Janice is coming up. We're on number 2, the town board resolution.
Madam Chair, may I acknowledge that Robin is here now?
Yes.
Thank you, Gloria.
I'm trying to get Janice in. She's in, but I don't see any.
She's connecting to audio.
Okay.
That's what it reads.
She's asking if we can hear her.
No.
No.
Right. I was having the same problem.
Sometimes it depends on the browser too.
Yeah, Google was down for a while. I had to reset everything.
Oh, I
Okay,
got
Janice is
Google.
coming now.
Hi,
Okay.
Hi, Janice.
Hi, Janice.
How are you?
so sorry, I cannot call in and use my other computer. It just doesn't work.
Sorry.
I apologize for having you wait.
Okay. So
I'm here today I wanted to use my other screen, but I don't now, maybe I can still, I don't know. I'm sorry. So I'm here today to discuss a town board referral that's on for public hearing April 13th. And this is to amend our town code definitions. Now, did everyone get a copy of this? Distribution industry? Okay, great. And it's really to add the 2 definitions of non-aviation and what a distribution industry is as defined in the code. So you're familiar, obviously, as you've been spending a lot of time looking at the Amazon warehouse proposal. And the purpose and intent of this law is really to confirm what non-aviation means and what we talk about distribution industry only in the airport PDD. It's not like a use that's really defined anywhere else in the code. So it's not really available to anyone else in the code, but the definition for distribution industry is this: an industry primarily engaged in the activity of distributing items by ground, produced offsite and warehouse / sorted on the premises, to then be delivered to a consumer who has ordered the item or product via the internet, phone, catalog, or other similar means. This definition shall not be construed to mean that the primary delivery of products or goods to the distribution industry via air cargo, air freight, drone, and or similar methods for a secondary delivery to a consumer by ground or any other means is a permitted activity. So this just confirms again, nobody is allowed to use the airport as part of their distribution industry use. It is a ground-based use. And then non-aviation in 330-5 would be state as follows: the absence of aviation-related uses conducted on, in relation to, or in connection with the use of a premises, including but not limited to air freight, air commercial, air cargo, or drone deliveries and or activities. Oh, thank you, Kathleen.
There you are. Do you, Janice, does this have to, will you, when we approve this, will you send a copy to the county? Since
The county will determine if it's a matter of local determination, and yes, we will send a copy to the county. As far as them being the landowner, I think that would be appropriate.
for a referral or just as an information?
Well, it goes as a referral because it's a local law amendment, and they will determine it's a matter of local determination, most likely, because it's a definition. And then as a FYI in terms of, you know, and that could be one of your recommendations to the town board if you want.
Mm-hmm. I would say so.
Absolutely.
So one of your recommendations will be the town board should send a copy of these definitions to the county.
Right. And
Not
how
just for FYI, but for contractual obligations, in other
Right.
words.
Right. Anything to West Hampton Beach? For FYI?
Of course, all our local laws go to all the clerk, you know, of village clerks, so we could easily do that.
Okay.
Do you have anything to say about the substance of the actual definitions that are before you?
I think they cover all the bases here, and I think it's clear.
Okay,
To
good. So
distinguish
would
the
it be
summary.
appropriate for to say the planning board supports the proposed definitions?
I would say so. Everybody else on the board, how do they feel?
I mean, is
Yes.
it vague enough that if it's not a drone, it's something else?
It does, or any other means.
Okay, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
tried to capture like everything possible,
Yeah.
you know?
Or you're thinking of spaceships, right?
Well, you know, technology is evolving so
quickly.
quickly. So as long as there are words that would apply to something that Elon Musk hasn't started yet.
Right.
Exactly.
Any other comments on it? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept and support it as written with the two recommendations by Gloria, second by Robin, all in favor. Opposed, abstentions, six in favor.
Thank you.
Thanks, Janice.
Have a great day, everybody.
You too.
Bye. Okay, Matthew, you have some completeness for
Yeah.
number 15, 115, 127 Halsey Lane.
Can everybody see the aerial that's up? Okay, so this is just for completeness. It's a lot line modification. This is another one that actually came through through an application to the health department. That's who noticed the discrepancies, I guess. In the 80s, there was a land transfer involving the flagship of this parcel. That wasn't officially done as part of the subdivision within the town. So this will be to formalize it. Unfortunately, the applicant's map is just missing some requirements. So I do have a nice review sheet for them. They've seen it. I believe they're working on the plans now. So I'm actually expecting this to be back on the agenda next time. But until I've had the opportunity to review, I'm recommending that it's incomplete.
Motion to deem it by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor. Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. Number 4, the Maple residence. Complete.
Yeah, Charles, can you let in Jet Morena on this, please? And I'll just start with an intro. This is a 2-lot subdivision at 13 Maple Avenue in Hampton Bays. As you can see, it's mostly with an R20. There's a small sliver in the back here that's HB. Pretty straightforward. It's kind of a unique layout, just not a straightforward flag strip. It's a little bit bigger. They have 39 feet of frontage here, where lot 2 is 36,101 square feet. Lot 1's containing all the existing improvements on the property. There's a house, I believe, in the CO. There's also an apartment in the garage, and that is about 35,000 square feet and change. They meet all the requirements for pre-app to deem complete. So I'm looking to schedule a hearing for this on April 22nd.
Is the applicant here? Doesn't want to, this is just completeness.
Completeness, yeah. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
you want to add anything, but it's pretty straight.
Okay.
I'll move it.
Moved by Dennis, second by
Second.
Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Jackie Fenlon, are you here?
Madam
Nancy
Chair,
Resources?
Madam Chair,
Yes, I'm sorry.
I apologize. There's a request from Keith Brown, the attorney for Certain Solar, if he can be called next,
Okay,
because he also has a public hearing this evening.
sure. Okay, so not number 5, we're going to go to number 9. Certain Solar.
Okay.
Keith Brown is here.
All right. Let me just give a little introduction real quick. Yep, Anthony Curcio, Keith Brown. There might be some other design professionals. Let me just do this.
Adam Cohen just appeared.
Okay. Okay. So looking at the aerial, everybody's familiar with Enterprise Zone Drive. This is behind the credit union in Flanders, an industrial subdivision. This is actually where the sewage treatment facility is proposed to go for the Riverside. In any case, this property is a vacant lot within the subdivision LI 40 zone. The town, as you know, recently passed battery storage legislation as a special exception. And we had a pre-submission conference. This is a pre-submission conference request to utilize that site for the installation of a battery storage facility that exceeds 600 kilowatts per hour, which is the threshold to make it a special exception in the LI 40 zoning district. As you can see on this plan, it includes a driveway, an area where the improvements will be built, and then all of this around there would be buffered. The components include obviously the storage packs. This includes solar panels. It looks like the energy would be generated by solar and then stored in the energy packs. And I have the applicant here today to discuss it with the board. Just so the board is aware, the battery packs are a special exception use in the LI 40, as I said. There is no legislation right now regarding solar, but the anticipation is that it's going to be treated as a site plan. And my understanding is, discussing this with Claire and Janice, is that the town's working on those legislation as we speak. So we'll see where it turns up in the process, and I'll comment on it in the pre-app report when we get to that point. But just letting you know that the town is working on the solar component, and this project includes both the solar and the energy storage. And the applicant I had come in today to answer any questions, and just to give a little overview for the board.
Mr. Marino, are you here?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, not see you. We can see Keith Brown. Are you part
Good
of?
afternoon.
Yes, hi.
Hi, how are you? And I want to thank Mr. Trezor for the very good overview. And I also want to thank you for taking me out of turn. I actually have to drive down and get to my law office in time for the 6 o'clock agenda. So
Oh, I got you. Can you just give us your name for the record, please?
sure, Keith Brown, Brown, Ullman and DeLeo, LLP, located at 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301 West, Melville, New York, 11747. So just a little background. We represent the applicant, Certain Solar, Inc. Certain Solar is the lessee and has entered into a ground lease with the landlords Marta and Wilson Garcia. As Mr. Trezza indicated, this is a case of first impression. We are fully familiar with the new battery storage provision of the town code. In fact, we actively participated in the public comment portion that resulted in the current code. So just a little background about Certain Solar. They are a leading developer for New York's Community Distributed Generation Program. That program is a standalone clean energy generator exports onto the utilities power grid. Energy exports are allocated to off-site subscribers as credits on their monthly PSE&G electric bills, and subscribers pay for credits at a guaranteed savings. So PSE&G customers can benefit from a subscription, including municipal offices like the town of Southampton. Certain Solar is developing battery storage systems to support the LIPA power grid. They charge from the power grid when the energy is cleaner and cheaper. They store the energy and then they export the energy back into the grid at times when it's most needed. In general, battery storage facilities help make Long Island's power grid cleaner, cheaper, and more reliable. And they currently have, Certain Solar currently has 2 other sites under development on Long Island, and they're seeking about 20 sites by 2023. I don't have to bore you with the description of the property. You know the Enterprise Zone Drive well. Just in terms of the build, they're proposing to build a battery storage facility in excess of the 600 kilowatts, which shall be the principal use on that property. The storage facility will be comprised of the following components. There'll be 44 solar panels with a maximum height of 10 feet. There'll be 10 Tesla Megapacks with a maximum height of 8.3 feet. There'll be 4 transformers with a maximum height of 6 feet, and there'll be 2 electrical switch gear stations. The facility will be surrounded by a 6-foot-high chain link fence and a self-locking chain link swing gate at the entrance of the property from the frontage on Enterprise Zone Drive. The chain link fence will also be equipped with privacy fabric, hiding the facility from plain view. The property is zoned appropriately for this use in accordance with the new provision of the town code. And the property itself is currently vacant and has remained vacant and unused for quite some time. Prior to the submission of Certain Solar's application, we were in contact with the town planning department and town attorney's office in connection with the drafting and eventual adoption of the new battery storage provisions to make sure that this facility would comply with those provisions. Not only does our project comply with the code, but also the town's comprehensive plan, the town's renewable energy goals, and New York State's climate change plan to reduce and eliminate carbon emissions. Now, with respect to design standards, the project will seek to address quality of life issues, including but not limited to noise mitigation measures, dark skies compliance, fire prevention, and environmental impacts to the surrounding neighborhood. And we're pleased to say that the proposed battery storage facility is the first of its kind to be developed in the town of Southampton, and I dare say the South Fork. As such, we know that the board will have several questions regarding the operation, function, safety of the facility and how it complies. So we have with us today Dan Pavavero from Key Civil Energy. He's our project engineer. And then we have the principals of Certain Solar, Mr. Ellie Schechter, Mr. David Arfin, and Mr. Adam Cohen. So with that, I turn it back to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have some specific questions that the crew can?
I do, Jackie.
Yeah, Gloria.
Has Certain Solar communicated with PSEG, and do they have a contract to take the energy that's going to be stored and then sent back to the grid?
The answer is yes, and I'll have Mr. Schechter explain.
Yeah, hi, thanks very much, Keith. Thank you, board. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, great. Yeah, one of the first steps that we do with these types of projects is filing what's called an interconnection application, which for a project like this triggers a full impact study that the utility completes over the course of about 3 to 4 months. and they have completed that study. And so we have from them now an executable interconnection agreement that gives them the conditions in which we can connect this project to the PSEG distribution system, along with the costs that are going to be associated with that connection. So we do have the approval now that we need from the utility.
That's great. Then Keith, you also mentioned that people in the community may get credits on their PSEG statement. Who decides who those people are?
Again, I'll defer to Mr. Schechter.
Yeah, so it's a great question. A few years ago, the state of New York implemented a community distributed generation program that allows us to participate the way you described. So one of the things that we are going to do as this project gets closer to being online is implementing an outreach program so that we can, work with different channel partners to sign up subscribers that are in the greater Southampton area. The only requirement for the state tariff is that participants have to be in PSEG Long Island territory. For us, it makes the most sense to start local and start in the Southampton area before we start broadening that. But through any number of, door-to-door sales channels or affinity groups or things like that, we'll have the flexibility to sign up the subscribers that would want to save money on their energy bills by subscribing to this project.
Well, that sounds like something everyone would want. Why wouldn't I want to pay less for my energy? So why do you have to sell it?
It's a great question. It should sell itself, shouldn't it? Yeah, no, a lot of it is just outreach and education from just people understanding the program and understanding the opportunity and then being willing to sign up and subscribe for it. It's just something new that just takes a bit of education and outreach so that they can be familiar with it.
So I have a question about, we're getting a lot of feedback on the audio. Does anybody have cell phones open or?
I'm going to put it on speaker. Is that better?
Much better. Thank you. That was it, I think. So two questions. We don't yet have a battery energy storage code.
We do.
So we have a battery energy storage code. We don't have the
Sorry,
solar.
we don't have the solar.
Yep.
So is that imminent?
It's imminent.
It's imminent.
It's imminent in that in the next month, Janice and I are proposing to bring it to the town board in a draft form.
So my two questions then, how do we move forward? And is it special exception?
In this case, this would not be special exception. We are encouraging this type of solar use in the LI 40 zoning district. So in this case, it would be site plan review.
Site plan, okay.
Yeah.
And just a quick question, you may not be able to answer it, but do you have intentions, I'm sure this will be successful, of expanding? And would you do it in the same area?
So right now, the community distributed generation tariff caps these types of projects with this system size, and we're not expecting that to change anytime soon, so we won't be expanding this project. We're always looking at additional opportunities, and so, it's not impossible that we might find another site that might be viable, but it would be an entirely separate project that we would apply for separately. So as of now, there's no intentions of expanding this current project. This is the maximum that we're going to be able to do here with this project.
Right, and it's always a solar and battery combination, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, the piece I might add is that, the solar is very small compared to the capacity of the batteries. It's something that we think adds a nice component to this project to have the solar there and available. But as you dig into the power capacities here, the main purpose of this project is for the batteries to be able to store energy at times when it's not needed and to be able to provide that energy to the distribution system at times when it is, which will likely be far in excess of anything that these solar panels can put out. So this is, first and foremost, a battery project that also has the solar integrated because we think it's a nice supplemental aspect of the project. So,
Ellie, could you just talk about the timing of the project and as it relates to NYSERDA and the PSEG tariff?
Yeah, thanks very much, Keith. That's a great question. So the way that this program is structured, because of our project being able to provide a benefit like this to the greater distribution system in this area, they've made funding available to make these projects viable. Because the reality is without that funding from the state, the economics are not quite viable enough that we could undertake a project like this. So there is funding that's available, but it's available in a limited capacity, and it's first come, first served. The two main gating items for reserving that funding are the interconnection agreement with the utility, which, as I mentioned before, we have, and having site plan approval and a seeker negative declaration from the local lead agency. And so that's the main reason why we're here. We're really not in a hurry to break ground. Our expectation is that this is going to take a while and that, it would be a stretch that we can build this project this year. It's probably something that we're going to target for end of this year and beginning of next year for a realistic time frame when this is going to come together. So, we're not pushing to have building permits to be able to start next week. We see this as an ongoing process where we're going to work with code enforcement and work with the fire authority to make sure that we have all these details ironed out before we reach groundbreaking. But we really want to make sure that we can get in line for the funding while it's still available for us. So for us at this stage, being able to work with the planning board on all of the requirements for the site plan approval, and even if there are conditional requirements that need to be stated in the approval that are going to be conditional on a long process that we're prepared to work through with code enforcement and the local fire authority, that's fine with us. In terms of our timeline for deployment, we're really not in a rush. For us, the big piece is we think this is a great project. We'd love to bring a project like this to the town of Southampton, and we just want to work with the board to be able to obtain the board approval within hopefully a timeline that allows us to be able to receive the limited funding that's available before it's fully exhausted.
So, Madam Chairwoman, I just wanted to be clear. We fully intend to build this project. I don't want to mislead anyone. That wasn't the point of the question. It's just that simply that in order to get in line for some of the advantageous grants that are being given by NYSERDA, that we have to get site plan approval and a neg deck as soon as possible. So
right. Well, Claire, you had made a recommendation about phasing this, phase 1, phase 2.
That's a possibility.
So phase 1 perhaps could be the battery storage component. Phase 2 could be the solar. And as soon as that legislation comes in, we can, so would we do would that be a conditional neg deck, or how do we handle the process of that?
You could do the, but let's see how we are after the meeting, because as I said, in the next month, by the time you have a pre-submission on this,
right,
you may have more information. But yes, a phasing plan is definitely possible.
But I think what you're hearing is that the board is supportive.
Yes, and I just wanted to make it clear, so when you do deliberate, you do understand that we are in a little bit of a time crunch for site plan and secret.
Give us a time frame. What is your time frame? When is
the time frame for us, we were hoping, if it's realistic, that if we're able to kind of work with the board to get the approval by June, we think that puts us in a good position to get the funding while it's available. I realize that might be a bit tight. We've been, trying to kind of work through these pieces of the zoning ordinance for a while now, which we realize take time. So, if June is unrealistic, then we're happy to kind of talk about what might be more realistic. But for us, in watching the way the funding's been allocated, we feel like that if this is something we can accomplish over the next 3 months, that puts us in a pretty good position. So.
Okay, so at least we have some sense of what you're looking at.
Exactly.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Mr. Schechter, will the facility have any kind of cooling fans or anything else that would create noise that may negatively impact surrounding neighborhoods?
It's a good question. The cooling system in the Tesla Megapacks, I know there was a joke about Elon Musk earlier on this meeting. The Tesla equipment does have a full HVAC cooling system, but it's not really driven by fans. It's not anything that makes much noise. The transformers that you see that we're including are like the same types of transformers that you see in a Walmart or a Target parking lot that, you really don't notice the noise from them unless you're kind of right up near them and kind of putting your ear to it. So in terms of the noise impacts, it's very minimal. There's not anything that would be negligible.
How about low frequency vibrations that neighbors might feel in their foundation or their first floors?
Nothing like that. There's not any types of vibrations or anything that would be felt. This type of equipment is actually pretty common on solar projects. And so for other solar projects, these questions have been asked, and there's studies that have been done on, pieces like the inverters and the transformers from different distances showing the decibel and vibration levels. And so some of that is available, and we provided it for other meetings like these. We can certainly provide that data as well.
Great, thank you.
Does the proposed sewer system that's coming in, would that affect you in any way? No.
No, it
Oh, does
shouldn't.
that affect us?
No, they're somewhere up here,
Yeah.
Jackie. Yep.
Right.
And
Okay.
so, I would recommend that you would schedule the pre-submission conference for April 22nd.
That would be wonderful.
Okay. No more questions from the board? Thanks very much for the presentation. Can I have a motion?
Our pleasure.
Motion, is that by Dennis? Can you unshare?
Oh, sorry about that. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's motion by Dennis and second by Gloria. All in favor?
Second.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. So it's an April 22nd pre-submission hearing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll see you later at 6 o'clock.
Anthony, you again, Jacqueline Cressy?
You gotta go, I guess you're gonna go back to number 5, right? You went out of order there.
We do. Number 5, JSC Resources. Oh, that's Jackie.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
That is actually off the agenda.
Okay. How about the Woods at Hampton Bays, completeness?
Yes, that is on the agenda. Let me share my screen. Can you all see that, Ariel?
Yes.
All right, so this is the Woods at Hampton Bays. This is the general area of the property and surrounding neighborhood. This is a zoomed in portion. You can see where they did the test holes that we authorized in these locations. This is the current map that we're working towards. Unfortunately, I am recommending that we deem this application incomplete because there's a lack of health department approval. Also, we are working on figuring out the engineering fee, which was not paid at the prelim from the records that we've reviewed to date. But the applicant did want to provide the planning board with this letter. They have hit considerable delays with the health department due to affordable housing flow. So this is a letter that I just received earlier today. Would you like me to read it into the record, or?
Well, just give us a highlight of it, I think.
Okay. So basically what's happening is the town has agreed to provide the affordable housing flow for this property, which is for 2 lots. Those 2 lots, we picked a property generally across the street. Actually, I might be able to show you. So this property here, can you see where the hand is?
Yeah.
That's 86 Old Riverhead Road. This is the parcel that the town board has purchased, and they're utilizing the flow, 2 flow rights or 600 gallons from this property to be transferred here for the affordable housing. Because of that, the town is a party to the covenants and restrictions to the Suffolk County Health Department. During the Suffolk County Health Department review, they noticed that there was a possible abandonment and disruption in the meets and bounds, which is causing some delays with the final execution of the CNRs with the health department. There are a few other mapping issues that I also need addressed, but the main thing is it does not have health department, and they are asking, because the delays that were encountered because of the affordable housing flow, they are asking the planning board to waive, in this case only, so the town procedures and town completion, although that is a code requirement in our code that we receive health department approval prior to deeming a final application incomplete. They're asking you to waive that provision in this specific case.
So you're recommending incomplete?
I am, but they're asking us to deem it incomplete anyways.
Okay, so can I have a motion to deem this incomplete?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria. Second by Zuccarelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. Okay. Matthew, Rooster's Caribbean Latino Grill.
Yes.
Completeness.
Give you guys an aerial. This is to convert an existing residence into a takeout restaurant in Hampton Bays. I actually met with the applicants yesterday in the office. This was originally submitted as a pre-submission. It doesn't need that, so they would actually just need to submit for a site plan special exception application. With that being said, because they submitted for a pre-submission, they're lacking a lot of the information that we need. So they're working on some map changes, working on getting the right application and then the additional fee. So this motion will be incomplete.
Incomplete. Motion for incomplete.
Motion.
Who said that? Zuccarelli. Motion by Zuccarelli, second by Florian. All in favor. Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Moving on, USA Gas. Jackie, that's you
Yes.
for completeness.
I think Ron Coppola may be here, if he can be let in.
Ron Cupolo.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I'll share the screen. So this is a resolution. We had 2 work sessions on this previously on January 14th and on February 11th. I am taking this over from Claire. During that time, the board agreed that they would review the facade amendments as an expedited site plan review with a 30-day written comment period. So that is the resolution before you. And just to refresh the board's memory, this is the existing gas station. So we asked them essentially to remove the vehicles, clean up the site, provide some fencing and some landscaping along here. Also, we asked for the pedestrian walkway to be clearly marked and striped. So
No
these were
run.
the versions
No
that
run.
we, oh,
No way, sorry. There's no Ron.
no, Ron, okay. All right, he's aware of the action today. So these were the previous plans that we reviewed, and then they were recently updated. I'm sorry that they're sideways, but you can see here they provided the fence, planting. They're going to have no parking striped here as requested, and then this is the pedestrian walkway. And then this will the main substance of this application is the facade adjustment, an improvement to have it have a pitched roof rather than a flat roof. And this would allow me to move forward with referrals, and then we can bring it back to the planning board for expedited review and approval at a later date.
Okay. Any questions? Have a motion to
Deem complete for expedited review and set a 30-day comment period.
motion
Motion.
by Zuccarelli, second by Dennis. All in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Okay, we've done 9.
Yep.
Anthony, Jacqueline, Cressy, number 10.
Okay.
Extension.
Yep. Just bear with me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so this was the lot line change that we looked at a number of times. The idea is to adjust the lot line here so we could bring this house back out of the beach, essentially. There's a lot of wetlands in this area. There's a lot of flooding issues in this area. I had met with the applicant on a few occasions. The redevelopment plans for these properties raised some serious questions from conservation, from myself, and from the engineer. The applicant is what's been happening, and the reason why we haven't adopted the pre-app report is the applicant's been requesting extensions because they've been trying to get new plans revised. So, I would recommend that we do. They requested an extension to the 22nd of April, which I will recommend that the board do. But as I discussed during staff meeting with Janice, who's got some concerns about the extensions like this, we may have to at some point, it might be the 22nd, to adopt the pre-application report based on the plans that were submitted. Because that's really what's supposed to happen. And just putting it off like this is just,
right.
But I'm not sure if the applicant is here or not. But in any case, I was going to recommend the extension to the 22nd.
Okay, so you've informed the applicant that if by April 22nd, that extension, there's no change, we'll adopt the pre-app report that we've written.
Yeah, I mean, they may, they may push for another extension, but that's at your discretion, and I'll have the report ready for the board.
Okay.
Anthony, I believe maybe John Borkin might be here for Shaver Sinsick and Bruin.
Okay, we can let John in. Johnny, you here?
We've made the recommendation to move that house
coming.
back, right?
Yeah,
Off
yeah,
the
yeah.
beach in,
Yeah, and that's the real intent here. So,
yes.
Good morning, all. Can you hear me and see me?
yep, we got you, John.
Understood. Good afternoon. John Borkman, O'Shea Marcinsick and Bruin, 250 North Sea Road, Southampton, New York. As Mr. Trezza has provided, the only real cause of these adjournments has been my client and their engineering firms grappling with the most prudent way to draw this lot line modification and how exactly the mechanics of reconfiguring the property is. So I'm going to continue working and communicating with the client and with the engineering firm and environmental analysts, and I will keep Mr. Trezza advised of our progress. Hopefully, we should have a little more on our plate to substantially to present by April 22nd.
Okay. Because there is a limit to the extensions, particularly when we've done a pre-app report. So
Okay.
just as long as you're aware of that. So we have an extension motion on the extension to April 22nd by Dennis, second by Robin, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Thank you, John. Thank you,
Thank you all.
Anthony.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anthony, you're up again.
Yeah,
Today, Darcy and Calderone.
that's right. I got to come back tonight anyway. So, so this is just an extension. We did a approval of a lot line change, Newtown Road. Basically, the backyard for this lot is going to merge with the lot fronting on Newtown here, and this backyard is going to be merged with this piece. It was an even exchange of land. We did the approval already, but they're stuck at the health department, which is pretty standard. So this would just be the first extension, which would bring it to May 23rd, 2021.
Okay, motion?
Motion.
Motion.
Motion by Gloria and second by Robin, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Abstention, 6 in favor.
All right, I'll go right to my next one then.
Madsen,
Yep, and then after, just a reminder, Jackie, after Madsen, I just have to do the Southampton Diner real quick, I told you.
oh, right, yes, yeah.
Okay, so you may recall, this was a 2-lot subdivision in East Quogue on Montauk Highway. There's an existing residence on the property. It's in the R20 zoning district. The applicant, the proposal is for a 2-lot subdivision. This is just another aerial view, by the way, to show you established buffers from other subdivisions. The one next door did a 50-foot buffer. That was your requirement. And I believe this one was 20 or 25 feet on Old Country Road. But I just wanted to show you that. The proposal. So the proposal is to subdivide the property into 2 lots right down here. One for the existing residence, and then one would be vacant. Last time we attempted to have a discussion, but I obviously wasn't prepared visually. So we're here to discuss the water line issue. So let me just explain it real quick. The blue line here shows you where the existing water main in Montauk Highway goes. It goes in front of this house, but it doesn't extend to where the vacant lot is. This orange line, I'll zoom in a little bit. Whoops, sorry. This orange line is the water line connection from the main in the street to the house. This green line is the proposed 50-foot buffer, which is what this board asked for when we adopted the pre-application report some time ago to be consistent with that adjacent subdivision right to the east here. And this purple line represents what the applicant is proposing is a water line easement, what would be through the conservation buffer. The issue that the applicant was having, the owner's having, is that the water main extension to Lot 2 seems to be costly. And so they've been working with the health department to come up with a solution because the health department obviously wants public water to serve the lots. The solution that came from the health department with the applicant would be to connect, through a easement here to the water line that connects to the house and then bring it over to this property. So that's really what the applicant is asking for. And so I thought that, this was a little bit easier to visualize now. Dave Radigan is here to answer any questions. And maybe he could explain why it needs to be in this location. I believe it has something to do with the existing vault location. But he's, Dave has a hearing issue, so I tried to present so the board has it. And then if you have any questions, we could talk to Dave about it.
Okay, that's pretty clear. Thank you. Are any of these lines able to go under the ground? I mean, can you shoot them under the ground without?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the water line easement is going to be underground. I mean, the utility is going to be underground. He's just basically asking for, can it be located through this buffer that you're requiring? Basically is what he's asking.
Or under the buffer?
Yeah, well, yeah, under the buffer, correct.
Under the buffer.
Question, the answer is no.
You can't, Dennis?
The water line, it has to be open, trenched, and inspected by the health department.
Yeah, no, that's true, Dennis. Yeah, you absolutely have to have access to it. Yep.
My question, Anthony, is there a reason why that easement can't be brought up more toward the green line?
Well, a couple things, Dennis.
Is the bolt.
I looked at this with Jackie Fenlon. There's a couple things. Let's Dennis, on that issue, let's ask the applicant if they could bring it outside that green buffer.
Well, no, even if it's within the buffer, but if they had it closer toward the green line, you'd have more of the buffer intact along the public roadway. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They can use a common trench. They can use a common trench along the orange line, and when they hit the green line, make the turn and follow the green line over to their lot, and that way
He's asking to the green line here rather than.
Yeah, Dennis, that makes sense.
Yep, that's a good suggestion, Dennis.
I do one a day.
That's
good.
So you're ahead.
Is Dave here? Is Dave here?
We are here.
He's
Okay,
here.
good.
Did you hear what we said?
I did, but can you just give me clarity for the question you're asking him so I can say it so he could hear it?
You see the image in front of you.
Yes.
Instead of having the two purple easement lines along the roadway,
okay,
those two lines be moved just so they're right alongside the green line there. That keeps more of the buffer intact along the roadway.
All right. So what they're asking is if this line here can be closer to the green line here. Could that be done that way?
Well, again, I don't apologize for have no hearing. I do want to answer your question. One of the requests that we're making to the board is that buffer be a 25-foot setback as opposed to the 50 that this survey shows. Anthony drew in these two lines. There's actually only one line going over to lot 2. The vault for lot 1 is on the left of that orange line you're looking at. The vault for lot 2 would be 4 feet away from that, would have a 2-inch missiled PVC line running to lot 2 that would service a new house in the future. We have had a site visit by Suffolk County Water Authority. They marked everything out. The original cost to run the 8-inch main, 152 feet, was over $20,000. The reason that we want to create a utility easement is that they gave us a reduced cost of $3,700 for the same work. It was proven to Suffolk County Water Authority that there is no other lot within 1,000 feet of proposed lot 2 that would be serviced by that 8-inch main. This is why we're approaching the board and looking for this kind of relief. If you have another question, I'll try to take it. The only thing I want to end with is that there's probably not a board member here that would not look for the same kind of relief from the board. That line, that 2-inch line, is buried 5 feet in the ground. The only thing that would be in that buffer area is a 15-inch plate that covers the vault meter. It only makes sense to do it this way to save these homeowners 20 grand.
But you understand our question. Could you bring that line further north to the green line and have it run along the green line?
His concern is he wants to know if this line could be brought closer to the green line and brought over.
Well, it can, but that green line is 50 feet setback buffer. We're actually asking for 25 feet, which these are the only two lots along all of Montauk Highway that would be required of this. Everything is built out and everything else is owned by the town.
Anthony, could you pull up your prior image of the buffer from the adjoining subdivision?
Sure.
You showed us earlier. There it is.
There you go.
So you see the buffer running along Montauk Highway, starting from the east. You see that blue line? That's what we're trying to continue across your property. I believe that's 50
He's
foot.
trying to continue this, see this double blue line through the property. Is that possible?
That's what we're trying to achieve, consistency.
Well, it is possible if you're not looking to give the 25-foot setback relief, it is possible to place it where you need it. The thing that Suffolk County Water is looking for from the planning board is the idea that you would be acceptable to the placement of vault of lot 2 vault on lot 1 and run a 2-inch regular standard PVC line to lot 2 as opposed to 152 extension, water line extension that would cost over $20,000.
I think your request makes sense, but we're going to try to move the easement line further north into to the edge of that 50-foot buffer.
He still wants to move this line a little bit closer to this one. And
Yes.
where did you say? How far?
Well, just so it's inside. I realize it can't be too close to the house because you need separation from your septic.
Right.
Septic field's going to be sort of where that writing for lot 1 is, and it can't be right along that. But if you keep it closer to the green line, we keep more of a buffer intact along the roadway. That's our objective.
Their objective is to get more of a buffer closer to the roadway, from the roadway. So if you brought it, can you bring it up?
Right, we'd be in agreement to that.
Okay, because we have no problem with with how you want to do it. It's a question of where you place the pipes.
Yeah, may I
push it?
Just make one comment? Dennis is right that the vault has to be accessible, but the undergrounding from the vault to the property could be done without, by shooting the pipe underground. So if you keep the vault closer to the road, it's easily accessible to the water authority to check the meter. If you put it 50 feet back, then there's going to have to be a path to it.
Gloria, I've never seen a water line that is not subject to inspection. Maybe this is a new feature they have now, but all the water lines I've seen, they have to be an open trench. The inspector comes out with his clipboard, looks at it, make sure, and they take a measuring stick, make sure it's deep enough, and then they sign off on it. But maybe this is something different.
Well, when I had the water installed at my house, which was about 10 years ago, they shot it underground.
Was it well or public water?
Public water. So the vault, and they did not have to trench anything. They shot it underground.
She's saying that she recently had something where they shot it underground.
Yeah, these water lines are missiled. There's no digging. The only thing that Suffolk County requires is every 50 feet you have to hand dig with a post hole digger a 4-inch hole to the depth of 5 feet. Leave exposed the water line. There is no trenching. It is all missiled. That's the only thing that they require. So there would be no disturbance of the soil other than every 50 feet, which is probably 3 digs of a 4-inch hole, so that Suffolk County Water can make sure that that pipe is 60 inches in the ground.
Yeah, it's a really cool process. I watched it at my house.
Yeah, she just watched that whole process at her house. She
Okay.
The gas lines are the same.
Yes.
So how can we preserve as much of the buffer and still accomplish what they want?
We could ask Dave to, look into shifting this a little bit in some capacity and see, what he comes back with. He's been dealing with the health department and the water authority at this point. So we don't really even know what they're going to say about it, right?
Yeah, Anthony, I was just going to suggest perhaps we can take this survey and have the water authority mark off where they would have to have access, where along the pipe. Because if it's every 50 feet, just a small hole, that's one thing. If it's what Dennis is saying, it's a trenching is something else. So perhaps before we ask him to move it, we ought to find out what the water department requires.
The water authority did do this did the marking for this.
The site is marked out as we speak.
But do they have to trench or just mark holes?
They're gonna missile.
No, he said they're going to missile it.
Yeah, missile
So
it.
then perhaps we're asking something unnecessarily. I'm just trying to.
What Gloria just said, I listened to everybody's comments. Just so you know, Matt was just letting me know that at his house in Greenport, he had the similar situation where they did not have to trench it and they just simply shot it through underground.
So we're
like
not
Gloria.
going to so we're not going to disturb the buffer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and the bottom line is that we're not going to.
But the Hampton Bays have their own water authority.
Mm.
So
No,
that
the buffer isn't going to be disturbed.
When this is through, the only thing that will be on the buffer is a 15-inch round plate.
Well, if you're not going to disturb the buffer, I don't see the
Are
problem.
there any large trees in that area?
I could double check that, Dennis, for you. The buffer wasn't, it's partly
There's
vegetated.
a lot of large trees. There's no large trees there, right?
Doesn't look like it from the
None of
aerial.
it will be issue.
None of the trees are in the way that are there.
No.
Okay. Well, take a look, Anthony, and then
Yeah, and I'll work
as
with
long
the
as our
applicant.
50-foot buffer stays, because we really do want to continue it.
Okay.
Anthony, if that buffer is memorialized in a recorded document, can I get a copy of it, please?
Yeah, the buffer that we're proposing here.
Mhm.
Okay, this was
No,
a,
if there's any existing encumbrances on there, are there any existing encumbrances?
no.
Okay.
Encumbrances.
Pardon?
Are there any existing encumbrances there?
No.
They're not.
Okay, so.
All right, so Dave, we'll continue. Looks like the board was pretty receptive, so we'll move forward after, and I'll make sure there's no trees, or major vegetation in there.
Okay, we have to come back, and is there?
You probably don't need to come back. I'll continue this, and if we need to, we could come back, but I don't think we need to.
All right, that's wonderful. All right, thank you, and you'll contact us?
Yes, I'll contact Dave.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Okay, Jackie, moving on to
Well,
this. I'm sorry.
Jackie, yeah, just real quick. All right, let me just do
Oh,
this.
that's right, the Southampton Diner, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, I don't want to get too much into the
Details, please.
details, but okay. So this was the Flying Point site plan that this board did. Here's Montauk Highway where County Route 39 merges into it. This is where the Southampton Diner is. This is Barry's Boot Camp. The gist of it is that through various planning board actions in the past, we obviously have cross access all over the place on this property. We want people to get out to Flying Point to get to the controlled intersection. As it relates to the diner site, the Southampton Diner, in fact, did build up to the property line for the implementation of the cross access with Barry's Boot Camp. We seem to be having some issues with getting Barry's Boot Camp to play ball. The way the legal documents were written up, it looks like the planning board would authorize the opening of the cross access. So Kathleen and I thought that it would be prudent just to get the planning board, because I know that we've had this discussion before, and once these access points opened, because we show them on both the site plan here and the site plan here, we were going to suggest that the planning board implement the cross-access, hold a public hearing, and let's see if the fellow from the site comes out and wants to move forward with opening the access as he's supposed to. If not, we'll see what actions we have to take. But at this point, I think the only way that we could even attempt to get this resolved is for the planning board to formally implement the cross access at this point.
Right. Each parcel received administrative site plan, but in lieu of administrative site plan, I think it's appropriate now to just get it before this board and have this board direct that it's time to implement this cross access. And as Anthony indicated, we have one willing party. It's the other willing party that we want to formally invite in and have them acknowledge that it's time to have this implemented.
Kathleen, why would we need a public hearing for this? Why can't we just do this?
Well, we don't have, we need to get the owner of Barry's Boot Camp before this board. And I think having a public hearing is the best way to do that. And I think in an exercise of caution, it'd be best to have the most public notice out there.
Who's the applicant? Who would be the applicant?
Well, Mr. Charos is willing to be the applicant. He's the owner of the diner property. He has, it's essentially, I don't know if Anthony can zoom in a little bit more, it's essentially 2 feet by about 20 feet that's not paved. Everything else, as you can see, is done. So it's just getting that small piece, which is on the property of Schwartz, the owner of Barry's Boot Camp, to comply. Rob Marcinsick is his counsel. So, you know, I'll obviously be reaching out to him to have this discussion as well.
Also for, you know, what I suggested too, because I was involved in the other site plan, is that, you know, having the public hearing puts everybody on notice, you know, that this is what you want to do, that you've looked at all these site plans, there's a plan in place, and now is the time to implement them. We all know this intersection. We want to safely get these people to an intersection.
Suppose this person does it, suppose Barry's Boot Camp doesn't show up at a public hearing, then what?
Then an action would proceed. But what's the next step? But this would be the first step. We're putting them on notice.
Okay, this has been going on forever.
Yes.
Endless. So right now, can people use it? There's no cross access that's usable?
No, I believe there's like an orange construction fence that goes across the property line. And again, it's really only about 2 feet of unpaved driveway that needs to be finished to allow this to be implemented. And this is the documents. So about a year ago, I was working with counsel for both property owners on a cross-access document that implemented current and present cross-access. And the owner of Barry's Boot Camp refused to sign, and that's kind of why we're back here now.
Huh.
He wanted changes that were just not appropriate or necessary, and certainly not consistent with how this board in the past has implemented that cross-access.
Yeah.
So,
it would certainly be beneficial to him because you cannot get out of that. You can't get out of the driveway.
Correct.
Onto Montauk. I mean, you have to go right, but it's even hard to go right because it's very close to the merge.
Yeah, you've got those almost two lanes of traffic going.
Yeah, it's a deadly spot. So it would be so beneficial to him.
Well, and he got it. He got it with this. He got his.
Yeah, because
and he's not allowing this. Where he bought the property with a concept, he bought it with the covenant in 1991. So he bought it. No.
Is the diner reopening?
You know, they're working on it. You know, my discussion with the few people who have come to talk to me about is the issue for them is this cross access because the people that are looking at this site know they have an issue with traffic getting in and out of this site. And so, you know, they do want to open up, but the diner itself that was there previously is not. They're not coming back.
The golden
silver lining.
Silver
lining. Yeah, they're gone.
Okay, may I? may I ask another question, please? So why would a public hearing be the first best step to put Barry's on notice that they're in violation of a covenant? I'm
You're not in
confused.
violation of the covenant. You're
Oh,
now
okay.
informing them that you have identified a traffic issue and that it is time to open up the connection. And that's the,
Was that a trigger?
That's just I'm sorry, the wording's not perfect, but there is some wording in there that says the planning board has identified that, this has happened, therefore the connection shall happen. So
Okay,
that
so
is
there was-
what you're now finding. You'll say it on the record. You'll put together a resolution that says that with some facts from.
So we're doing
Okay,
this.
so it was, yeah, I'm sorry, Jackie. I'm just trying to understand. So the paperwork said that it was a triggering event, that the planning board had to do a finding to get this opened? Is that a triggering event?
The existing covenants say when the planning board deems it necessary. They all had administrative site plan review. That's not the planning board. So, and they had administrative site plan review, rightly so, because it was merely changes in tenancy. And a condition of that administrative site plan review was to implement this. One party did, the other didn't. But to be fair, the actual cross-access documents require that to be said by the planning board.
Okay, so it's a triggering event.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, that's important detail. Thanks for digging that out, Robin. So Charo still owns the diner? Those people are only lessees?
Yes, Mr. Charo still owns the diner, correct?
Okay, and Barry bought this property at auction because nobody wanted it, because you can't get out.
Yep.
And before it went to administrative approval, we missed the opportunity because it was taken from us to do a common driveway right in there to combine the corner property with the Barry's Boot Camp instead of separate driveways. We were trying to eliminate those curb cuts.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Gary's Boot Camp came in several years before this site came in.
The what?
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, Madam Chairperson had made an objection at the time that this came in for administrative review.
Right.
That perhaps this shouldn't have been an administrative review because we didn't get to address these issues. Yeah, I remember Jackie bringing that up specifically at the time.
Okay, but that was the town planning development administrator at the time's decision.
Yes, I know that. We know that. Do we need to look at any other inner way out of this? What, the vacant parcel there? What's happening?
That's not vacant. This is a vacant portion of the diner site. The diner site goes all the way back here. So you'll see the actual other cross access, the public easement was implemented back here, goes all the way to the Pier 1 site. But this is all part of the diner site back here. I don't know what's happening back here yet. They haven't
And all
posted
those
anything.
cars are removed, right? Well, that was part of the corner parcel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the trigger mechanism and that's in the covenant language, then we have to have a public hearing.
Yeah.
I think it's the best method to create a record.
Yeah, well, I think it's necessary.
Sounds like it's the only one.
The only one.
So I was going to suggest April 22nd.
Okay.
How many is that on April 22nd? That's.
I put 2 on today, so.
So this will be the third?
Yeah, I put one on also. So that's 3 total, I think.
And then I'll put the 4th one.
Okay.
So that should be good.
Okay, so I need a motion to schedule a public hearing for.
Motion.
You call it Southampton Diner? Is that the-
Motion.
Sure.
Motion by Robin, second by Glorian. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. Jackie, do you want to do the estate at Madeline Cuomo now?
Yes, please. That would be great. And Charles, could you please, oh, I see Lisa Poyer. Okay. Just wanted Lisa Poyer. She's the applicant's representative. So I can just share the screen and explain. This is a request for modification to the planning board's previously adopted pre-application report, which was adopted last, actually, was it 2020?
February 20?
Yeah, February 2020. So I'll show you.
Pre-COVID.
Yep. Yeah, right before COVID. So this is the existing property configuration. What has been discovered is that the meets and bounds description along Montauk Highway, the previous surveyor did not pick up that there was like essentially like a boundary dispute between Montauk Highway and this property. So what resulted was 15,000 square foot lot and a 22,000 square foot lot here, showing that this northern boundary extended essentially closer or further into Montauk Highway. What is actually the case now, and maybe I can zoom in here. What is actually the case now is that Montauk Highway actually is wider than they had depicted on the original survey. So it's actually 66 feet wide in this location, which essentially shortens these lots. And it would create this lot being 13,875 square feet. And then it makes this lot 20,650 square feet. There's also, we're proposing, because the pavement follows this area here, as a part of the recommendations, we recommended that there be an offer of dedication if this ever becomes a town road, because this is currently a private road right here. So that would help alleviate essentially the existing encroachment with the pavement in this area. But as a result, they are going to have to seek variances. This was granted via a variance, which gave them the 15,000, give or take. It will now have to be clarified or amended that this is now going to be a 13,000 square foot lot, but it would remain, these lots would remain unchanged, which these lots here have enough square footage. So with that, it just, Lisa's here if you have any questions. Basically, the new surveyor discovered the discrepancy. They request that we amend our report so that our report can serve as the ZBA referral when they go to the ZBA and explain the situation.
What's the square footage on lot one?
Lot one will be 20,650. Previously, it was shown as 22,052 square feet. And once we take away,
this is R20, right?
yeah. And once we take away this in the future, if this ever becomes town road, which I do, foresee, then this lot would be 19,000 square feet. So they're going to go to the ZBA to clarify that as 20 and as well as 19 if the offer ever is executed. This is going from 15 to 13 essentially, because the boundary has moved further south.
Do we have to make a referral to highways on this, or someone to look at that?
I don't think so, because this is the state highway.
No, I'm talking about what you're thinking might, that section.
Oh,
there.
I've been reviewing it with the engineering division, but this is actually a private road. So I haven't included highway in the referral process because they technically don't have jurisdiction over this road.
But you're saying that there's a possibility there could be a dedication at some point?
In the unforeseen future, yes.
So I think a referral to the highway department would be a smart thing to do.
Like I can do that at the final application, that's absolutely fine. I'll make a note of that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So any other questions? So you have the modification language, Jackie?
Yeah, I'm going to modify the pre-application report and just state the new survey, the discrepancy, and then reiterate that in the findings of the report.
You don't have that ready now? No.
I don't. I apologize. I was out a couple of days, so I didn't get to tweak it, but this is the gist, and I'll make the description change, and then I'll make the recommendation that the planning board acknowledges the modification. So this would be to adopt that report.
Okay. Do you want to send us that report when you get it?
Sure.
Everybody
Absolutely.
should see it.
Sure.
Lisa, do you have anything more to say?
Just I appreciate you guys re-reviewing this, and if you have to go back to the ZBA to get additional clarification, then we'll do that. And we're right now before the health department with this subdivision, and then we'll come back to you guys with the ZBA approval, with the health department approval for final.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, shall we adopt the modification?
Yeah.
Dennis, motion by Dennis, second by Craig, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions, 6 in favor. So you'll get that to us, Jackie, yes?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just minor changes to acknowledge the surveying, but I will email to you when it's finalized.
Okay, and then you have 14, the estates at Rensenburg,
Yes.
set a public hearing.
Yes. So if you, Charles, if you could please let in John Borquin and possibly Wayne Bruin if he's on as well.
This is the relocation of the blacksmith shop, right?
Correct. Yes.
Wayne, how are you?
Good, good. That was all the board members today.
We're okay. Thank you.
Uh,
Jackie, you want to give an overview?
Yep. Give me 1 second. I'm just pulling up the information. Okay, so
You have a map?
yep. All right, so this is the resolution I'm recommending to schedule a hearing on the relocation. This is the map. So the building in question is this building here where my hand is, the cursor. So this blacksmith's building was here. It was located very close to the road. What happened is the intent was to allow it to be left there or to be utilized as an accessory structure somewhere else. The applicant is formally requesting to relocate this structure that was previously on lot 19 and has since been removed and utilize it as a accessory structure on this lot.
So was there any historic determination for this building? Were there any requirements connected to that landmarking or historic preservation?
No landmarking, just it was requested that the building be restored, the outside of it, and it could basically remain on this lot or be utilized as an accessory structure.
And so who's requesting the change? The owner of that lot?
The developer. The developer is requesting to relocate this structure and utilize it as an accessory structure on this property.
Well, if it's not protected by any landmarking, I guess they have the right to do that.
Yes, I believe so. We've reviewed the covenants and restrictions and the map notes in depth, Wayne, Kathleen, and I, as well as John. So my understanding from the resolution was I thought it was always going to stay on lot 19, although the map note in general and the CNRs don't really depict that. But I want to make sure everyone's aware that this, is a historic structure. It's going to be relocated to this lot and restored and used as an accessory structure. So it will still be on the Webb estate, but it will be relocated from this location to here. And to make sure everyone is aware of the intent, we were going to schedule a public hearing. I also intend to refer this to the Landmarks and Historic Board in the meantime.
Okay, and what were you thinking of? What date? Don't do it on April 22nd.
That was what I was proposing, but I guess we could do the first meeting in May. I just don't have that date in front of me.
May 13th.
Thank you, Patty.
May I make a comment on this, please? So this is a very new development in here. I live right up the road. It has quickly become a very popular pedestrian site. A lot of people getting their exercise using Matthews Avenue down into Emma's Way there, down to South Country Road and back up. Moving the structure to that desired location is really not a bad idea for pedestrians, because it'll be kind of a nice little focal point or talking point as you're walking by it and stop, and you could appreciate it even more so than if you're just driving by. So just a little bit of insight to that area.
But it'll be buried now where they want to put it. You won't see it.
No, you will actually. You'll be able to see right around that turn. It's very clear there.
Is that a lot it's going on?
Yeah.
Where the hand is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is open space, which we were able to achieve to get that people from Matthews Drive down. So I'm glad. Thank you, Craig, for letting us know that that's actually being utilized.
People are using it, right?
Because that was actually the intent.
It's great. It's really great.
And
pandemic has gotten everybody out on the roads.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so Jackie, the general relocation is here. I do have an individual survey. I'm sorry it didn't upload for some reason, but I will have that available for the public hearing.
Okay. Well, Craig's.
The only concern,
valuable.
only question I have is the movement is not going to destroy the building, because sometimes we've found that once these buildings start being taken apart to be moved, they never quite get rebuilt.
So
because
one of
they
the issues
can't
with this is,
sustain it.
yeah, one of the issues is that the structure was already moved. So it's already on like
Oh.
risers, and it was already moved to this location. And it
Oh.
was taken off,
Oh.
but it does look to be secure. And actually we had multiple complaints regarding the relocation of the building, just because of where it was situated. And there was a concern with safety, but multiple building inspectors did say that the building looked stable and, just requested fencing around it when it's in its temporary location. I myself also visibly saw it, and it didn't look like it was in bad or deteriorating shape, but this will finally give it a home so it can be restored and utilized on site.
Excellent. Thank you.
Wayne, do you have anything any comments to add, or we're ready to schedule a public hearing?
Well, part of it is I wonder what the public hearing is actually necessary for. But when Jackie pointed this out, and I was asked to go back and look at the record on this, and I provided it would be good maybe to read my letter from March 8th. Going back, and I pulled every record I could, trying to find, what were the exact conditions. And as Jackie noted, we go back to the original, the historic study that was provided and what was the intent. And clearly the structures that are on lots 1 and 2 near Old Country Road were significant and important. As to the building called the Blacksmith Building, it was recognized as being important to preserve, but its location right next to the road was not anything of significance. In fact, it was, and all the conditions clearly allow it to either remain at that location or to be relocated. And I think what Jackie was saying, and there is one finding in the planning boards, is that's where the clarification is needed. There was one findings that suggested that it was going to remain on lot 19, perhaps as an accessory structure to the rear of lot 19. However, as you go further into the conditions, in particular in the covenants, there's languages that suggest it could be removed from or relocated from lot 19, which is exactly what's being done, so long as it's being preserved. That being said, as this has come along, as Jackie indicated, the landowner went to the building department. He actually got a building permit to remove it. And that's how that all occurred, while Jackie and us are trying to figure out what is necessary from the planning board. So we all acknowledge that this board, it would be good for us to go back and clarify the record, but I just don't want to leave the impression that the public would have some manner to say that this shouldn't be done. I think, as you indicated, Jackie, was the chairperson, Jackie, that the landowner has a right to relocate it there. Certainly, they're going to do it in a manner that is preserving the integrity and so on, and pursuant to building permits. But I don't know if at the end of this is that the board would have the ability to say, no, you can't have it there.
So what you're saying is we really don't need a public hearing. What about a 30-day written comment period?
I'm fine with that. And or if certainly, we welcome whatever comments and thoughts that the landmarks board might have. So getting that input would be helpful, and particular whatever input they can give on the restoration of the structure as well. I think that's important. We certainly would welcome that. And if you want to put it out there as a comment period, that's great. Yeah. But I don't know, I just don't want to leave the impression that there's some decision that you can say yes or no to.
Yeah, not with the language in the covenant, yeah. Are there any other comments on it?
The only thing I wanted to add is with the resolution, whether it's a 30-day written or a public hearing, we can then require that the structure be covenanted to be restored and to stay in the historic state, essentially, which I think is good, so that all future property owners know that that historic structure cannot be altered. And the main objective is really to get the outside facade. The interior can be renovated and utilized as the owner sees fit.
Wayne, are you okay with that?
I will have to actually talk to this particular landowner. It is, Mr. Citarella has an interest in it, so he knows the history of this. I remember having a discussion with Jackie and council about these things, but I haven't been able to nail down Mr. Citarelli as to what, and so now with this formally coming to us from the board, I will certainly take that back to him and get back to you on the quick answer to that.
Okay.
I don't see why he would have an objection because it was always the intent that it be preserved.
Yeah. So do you want us to move forward with a 30-day written comment period or?
Yes.
Yeah,
And-
okay.
And refer it to the landmarks board as well. That's
Okay.
fine.
Do you have that language, Jackie?
Yes, I'll amend the language, yes.
So can I have a motion to set a 30-day written comment period? Dennis first and
Motion.
Robin second. All in favor? Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I have East Quogue Mobile Home
Claire,
Park
yeah.
for the pre-submission report. If you could let Kim Judd and Richard Friedman in, Charles, please.
I will.
So I'll just show you the aerials as we're waiting for the applicants. This is the aerial. We've talked about this a couple times. It's been a work session on 2 occasions and the pre-submission conference on February 11th. And so this is the existing mobile home park, and they're proposing to relocate 21 units from this area to the north in a more spread out area and larger units. So this is the overall parcel that extends all the way to Sunrise Highway. This parcel is in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District and the Central Pine Barrens compatible growth area, with the north portion in the core area. And then this parcel is outside both of those areas, so it's not subject to any regulations. This is the overall site plan.
So Claire, are there clearing restrictions in the core, so not in the core, in the compatible?
Yes. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. I looked it up today. Usually we're more restrictive. And in this case, we may not be, and the Pine Barrens may be more restrictive, depending on, that's one of the topics in the report today that we'll discuss, which is productive. But this is the overall site plan of the area where they're expanding. So these are the units that are existing, and then this is the expansion area that they're showing on the site plan. And this is, again, the overview of the units. And
There was some
expansion
real
area.
controversy at the public hearing on the access, not using, what didn't they want to use?
They
Was it
didn't want to use Gleason, which is this road.
Gleason, right.
Yeah, so when the applicant submitted the application and at the planning board's behest, they provided just this access here. And this would have been an emergency access, but we can discuss that more. I think you heard from the neighbors on that one, so
Yeah.
we can discuss that more. Is Kim and Richard Friedman in?
Yep.
Great. I just want to make sure you're here, Kim. Well, I start to go forward with it. And okay, anybody else you need in or no?
Unmute yourself, Kim. There
Can
you
you
go.
hear me now?
Yes.
Is there a Brian Daly? He's the attorney for the mobile home park.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you. Should we wait for him? Or should I start?
You can start. We'll come in.
Sounds good. So I'll go back to the reports. We can go through it and the board can, if you have any questions on the points. So that's 21 units being relocated from lot number 9, which is south of the railroad tracks, to lot number 3, shown on the plan. So the public comments during the conference, February 11th, was concerned with the use of Gleason Drive to access the mobile home park. Upgrade to the septic is great. What is the length of time for relocation? Concerned with increased clearing. lot is in Pine Barrens? Will the owner of park buy out individual owners? What are the sizes of the relocated units? During the 30-day written comment period, concerned with the use of Gleason Drive, supports the proposal, but against the use of Gleason. Use of Gleason would increase traffic and noise. So if they were going to proceed with a site plan, it would be a full site plan application with lighting, landscaping, engineering plans, and the short form EAF. It would be in an unlisted action as proposed, and SEQA would have to be completed prior to the site plan being complete. So the history, and I don't put dates in here, but there's a series of ZBA decisions that the original use was permitted with a series of approvals, first from the town board and then from the zoning board of appeals, and the property is not permitted any additional units. This is one issue I brought up that needs to be verified, which is the expansion of the use. So the proposal is no additional units. However, the units may be relocated to the rear are to be larger units as indicated in the site plan. This may constitute an expansion of a non-conforming use, and a determination should be secured from the chief building inspector. So what I'm saying is the units that might be in front right now might be a single unit, and might be, I'm just going to put some numbers out, 220 square feet, but the units that might be proposed in the back might be 400 square feet. The ZBA or the code might consider that an expansion of a non-conforming use, even though the units number might be the same. Is that an expansion? So that's something you'd want to have in writing from the chief building inspector.
Can I speak to that, Claire?
Do you mind if I go through all of it?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Just want to make sure, just get it all out. And then these are two issues with the Aquifer Protection Overlay District and the Central Pine Barrens compatible growth. So I might be too much of a site plan person because I assumed it was 50% clearing. But then I read the code and it says non-residential would be 50%. And so this could be considered a residential use. These are residences, this is people's homes. If that is the case and it's considered residential, then only 15% would be permitted in this zone per the size of the lot. Right now they conform, they're at 11.7%. And if the proposal, it would be 17.5 and therefore it would be over. But obviously, if you could see the site plan that I'd shown before, you can consolidate the site plan to meet the 15% in this case. But I think the applicant has something to say about this too. We've emailed a couple of times back and forth. Again, it's a referral to the applicant, the chief building inspector for an interpretation of the code. Is this residentially zoned, or residential use, or is it considered non-residential? So that is the question. I also recommend.
There's a question, Claire. How can there be a question?
Well,
people are living there.
At the end of the day, for the code, is it? And that's the question. Kim Judd's going to speak to this, but she got an interpretation from Kyle that said it wasn't. So, at the end of the day, the keeper of the code is the chief building inspector. So, as I said, I'm bringing it up as an issue. And also would be Central Pine Barrens. So they have their own restrictions. And in this case, it would be 20% of the lot that they restrict. In that case, they would conform if it was at 17.5. The next issue is the access. I actually have pictures of the access if you want to look at them, or do you want me just go through everything and then we can look at that issue when we come to it's up to the board. Yeah. But I have pictures of the two accesses with the railroad crossing, so you could have an idea of what they look like in that area. And also I've talked about the natural area. So the planning board did weigh in on the last ZBA decision on this project. I forget the year, but the planning board recommended that the ZBA implement a conservation easement. It was never made a condition of approval, but at this point, I think you'd want to implement a conservation easement on the remaining of the lots if you decide to go forward with a project. So also there's some dumping in the back. We would just you want to have them cease that and maybe put some fencing up. And then the IA system, of course, for the new located units, that's a benefit. And then there's an existing trail on the north side of the property, and we'd want to do a referral and then referrals, and then a public hearing. There's some public interest in this project. Do you have questions for me first, or do you want the applicant to speak?
Let's just, I have a couple of questions that.
Sure.
Quickly. So what's the definition of a mobile home park in the town code?
Oh, it's a good question.
It's under section 220, manufactured home community.
And that's listed under the residential use table, right, Kim?
So it is residential.
Yeah, I found it in under section 220 of the town code, which is manufactured home.
But on the residential use table, it's listed there, right?
Mobile home?
It's towards the end. You know how you have the RCR 200 through R10? At the end of that is the manufactured home section. So just so you know.
Right. So it's pretty clear that it's a residential.
No,
And they're
I
allowed.
disagree with you very strongly on that.
Well, it's just that all we're saying, and the report says, is that you go to the chief building inspector. He's the keeper of the code. He will
Okay,
make a
well,
determination.
I'll let you finish your questions.
And so the 15% clearing is the max clearing, right, Claire?
I'm citing that on the report. Yes.
Right. Okay.
And what was the theory behind the previous decision by the head of the planning department that this was commercial?
He didn't say it was commercial. There's a provision in the aquifer protection overlay for multifamily lots or tracts. And myself, Richard Friedman, and our engineer met with Kyle September 27th of 2017. And we said, if you're going to consider this residential, we're not going to do this project because we're not going to be able to meet with the 15% clearing. What is your feeling? He said, without a doubt, it is multifamily, subject to 50% clearing restriction. And with that in mind, we started this process. He didn't have to think about it. He felt that way immediately. So did Mike Benincasa, who's not, neither gentlemen are there now, but Claire did say you should go get this redetermined again with the new chief building inspector, which we're going to do.
Kimberly, before you say, use the terminology redetermined, do you have a determination by a building head of buildings that this was not
verbal.
a residential?
It was verbal from both Benincasa and Kyle, but they did not put it in writing, as who knew when they were going to.
So you have I'm just asking, it's an important question.
Yes.
So you have no written determination by an authority in saying
Not
that
yet.
this
I will
is
soon.
one of, okay.
But obviously, if the new chief building inspector says 15%, we're not going to go forward with it. We just can't comply with it. So.
Right. Well, you're looking at an APOD and you're looking at the Pine Barrens.
I know, but we conform with those numbers.
Not at 15%, you don't.
Not at the town's 15%. The Pine Barrens is not at 15, it's 25.
And you could make it with clear 25%?
Yes. And that's why we started this in 2017. If I couldn't get through these clearing restrictions, I wasn't going to spend my client's money. So that's why we met with everybody back in 2017, got the answers we were hoping for, and we proceeded. But again, we'll redetermine, we'll go back to the new building inspector and have him.
Right. Well, it was never before this board. So
I'm sorry?
It was not before this board.
No, because there was a time that we didn't think we were going to do this project. Remember, we started off with you guys with a larger relocation, and then it went down, and then there was a time maybe the town board was going to change the code. It didn't happen. So, and then my client was approaching Suffolk County, and they were very supportive of the project at 42 units with the relocation. But my client wasn't able to make that number work as far as timetable with relocating all those front trailers in the beginning, and it was just too much to do at once. So we figured, okay, let's start with a more realistic number, and that's how we came up with the smaller figure that's before you now.
And what is your understanding of the ZBA determination that says no increase in the residencies?
Well, we're not increasing the number of units, but this is very interesting. You have 8 mobile home parks in the town of Southampton. I can tell you every single one of them over the past 50 years has gone from a single wide, single bedroom, which is 600 square feet, and by the way, which is the minimum in your town code for the floor area, to 2 bedrooms for a single wide, or 3 bedrooms for a single wide, or in some cases a double wide. Never has any mobile home park had to go for a variance. So I believe.
And I'm not saying it's a definite, I'm just saying.
No, I understand that we have
Double check
to double check it. So we're in the process of doing that. We did double check it with Mike and he agreed with us when he was here. But I'm going to get that hopefully before the new building inspector. But if you look at the code, your own code requires a minimum floor area for a mobile home of 600 square feet. And that's a single wide with 1 bedroom. You can still have a single wide with 2 bedrooms at 800 square feet and still conform to the definition of a manufactured home in the code.
Kim, a couple of things to consider. The building inspector's determination can still be appealed at the ZBA, number 1, which would allow you to introduce evidence, affidavits, and so forth. Number 2, maybe a question for Claire. Can you, or Kim, can you tell us about your septic upgrades of the relocation?
Yes, can I have my client Richard Friedman talk about that, because he's been in conversation with the county. But he can talk about that.
Yeah, the sewage disposal right now is cesspools. So the plan is to put in an IA system that would handle all 21 lots. So that's a pre-treatment system, and then will discharge it to a common septic. And so that results in, nitrogen reduction from, I think it's about 60 parts per million, if I have my scale correct, down to well under 20. So it's the 21 lots in back are going to have a common sewer collection system, and they're all going to go to this common IA system and then to a common septic field.
Do you want to see the plan? Should I put it up?
And this system is included in that 25% clearing that you're proposing?
Yeah, you can see it on the plan. It's right behind what's labeled as open space area C.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Percent clearing, Jackie, or is it 17 point something?
17.5%.
As opposed to 15%.
Right.
I'm just wondering if the decision from the inspector, if they receive an adverse decision, are we allowed under the waiver provisions of the APOD to slightly enlarge the clearing with this new septic being the mitigation?
That would be interesting. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there is a waiver provision in the APOD that allows that. I mean, rather than leave antiquated cesspools lying in the ground for another 50 years,
But the other thing is that, as I said, brought up, and maybe they want to look at it, is that, I know they have this open space area. If they consolidate a little bit, they might be able to grab another point, a percentage or 2.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, in terms of.
So they have options, Kim.
Yeah.
You have options. For
Yes, thank you. That's a good point about the APOD.
So it's
Also, I see that
2.5
emergency area, this emergency access for Malloy Drive, that's cleared, and I'm not sure what the board's pleasure is going to be on that. So
I think we'd still, I don't know, we'll talk about that next, but I think you'd still want the emergency part, but it would have to be 14 feet, not the 50, cleared. And it would just be fenced, right? Is that with the board's pleasure on that one?
Yeah.
Can I just ask, so we're talking 2.5 as a discrepancy in the determination of what it is. It's a 2.5 differential in the clearing restrictions?
2.5 points.
Yep.
Okay,
But
that's what I
about,
said, 2.5.
it was an approximate, so just so you know.
Oh, so it wasn't from 25% to 17.5, it's from,
15
Okay,
up to 17.
17.5 to 15.
okay,
Claire?
thank you for the clarification.
Oh, Claire, do you mind? I have one question. Were they anticipating re-vegging on the road where they're relocating the mobile homes from?
Yeah, but that's not an APOD.
Oh, okay.
It's not, it's outside both jurisdictions.
Oh, gotcha. But maybe the planning board could find that as mitigation, possibly, you know, just an idea.
Well, does the Pine Barrens have to sign off on this, Claire? You have to send an application.
Our referral will be made to the Pine Barrens, yes. Mhm.
So on this map, is there a line, if you just slide it up, where the core ends and the compatible begins? Is it marked on here?
Yeah, I think it's shown.
Yep, that's
So
it.
this is, so if you go in this direction, you're going towards the mobile home park. So you can see the two maps together. So this is the proposed developments. You go north, and then there's a cut line. So it's very close to the northern section. Most of the properties in compatible growth.
Yeah, that little where Claire's got the hand, that's the core.
That's the core.
Area. Yep.
Yeah.
And we actually did refer this to the Pine Barrens quite a few years ago, trying to get, and we got a letter of determination about how many credits it would transfer into, right, Richard? I can't remember what that number was, but it was like 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, we did.
So you want to talk about the access, the
Yes.
off-road access? So this is the main access. I think the board had suggested it. This is a house here. This is an open space parcel, and this is open space also. But you had a lot of feedback from the neighbors.
Community.
This is the existing access to the mobile home park, and this is the Gleason Drive access. You know, they're next to each other virtually, but this functions well. It's a normal railroad crossing. And I think if you're proposing more units, you definitely would have to really look at this closely, maybe with a traffic person. But it's up to you in terms of whether you'd want an access or leave that as an emergency access also. The other plan, I'll show you again, sorry. So this is the one proposed that had been proposed to be opened.
Well, I mean, in case of an emergency, how do you get out of here?
Well, this could be an emergency access. Again, clear to the 14 feet for the fire, for a fire truck to get in, but with a gate that only, the fire department would be able to have access to.
What was the original access that the developer suggested?
Just retain this.
On his
What I'm
property,
showing.
right?
Yeah.
So, isn't that possible?
Yeah.
And keep the access within the confines of the mobile park.
Right.
And not.
These
and
would be
not-
emergency.
Right, not exactly.
Okay.
But I thought the issue was the Long Island Railroad didn't want to maintain the two accesses.
There's been there will be a referral to the Long Island Railroad. That's something I should put down under access. But we haven't got anything formal asking us to reduce the number of this access. There has
So
been
if that,
nothing formal.
so if the access that was suggested by the developer is sufficient for planning and sufficient for the community and sufficient for the developer, is there a reason we're trying to change it?
We're not going to, I think, I'm hearing that you're not going to change it. We're going to keep this access because of the public interest of not opening this up only for emergency purposes.
Okay.
Emergency is important.
Yeah.
Looked at those images of the California wildfires last summer. When
Yeah.
people desperately, this is a fire-prone area. When people are desperate to get out of these heavy residential areas and wooded areas, you want as many access, and I would consider being able to accommodate emergency from both directions, you know?
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have an objection to an emergency. I don't think they
Yeah.
just wanted it used on a constant basis.
Have these crash gates or whatever they have.
Right.
So in this case, this is town open space. This is a house. So this would be affected if this was open. This would be affected. This case, these are two town open space parcels. So this would be, you have the clearing in here, but they would have the gates. So I think it makes sense. And again, since the unit density is not getting bigger, I think you could make a finding to
Do
that.
you have an actual aerial of this property, how it's developed and where the roads are?
Yes.
I mean,
So this is the overall aerial, the big one.
you have nothing.
So this is the
Better
overall
than-
aerial. So this is the one access that was originally proposed. We'll keep it as emergency. This was always proposed to be emergency, this one here.
So that's Gleason Drive that.
This is Gleason.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just
No, but I
Can
mean,
ask a question? Do you
Mike-
think we need to have the emergency access?
this is what I
for-
want. Yeah.
Do you think you need to have the first emergency access since a lot of those lots are already so close to Old Country Road?
That's what I'm trying to look at these roads. Is there a better image of this, Claire? Like an actual, do you have anything, Kim?
You want me to pull up the aerial? I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have it if you want to let me share. I mean, I can show it.
Sure. Go ahead.
Because you've got roads in there.
I think the two accesses are advantageous.
It's a
for
safety,
emergency
it's a
purposes.
safety issue for sure.
However, what
Oh,
we'll
good.
do.
Good, good. This is good, yeah.
What we can,
First one, I think, is here,
Yes.
right? Maple.
yeah.
So
Yes,
that's what you said. There's a house here. Hmm?
They're also close to the road. That's why I'm wondering why it needs.
This person's probably not going to be happy if we hack
No,
through the
yeah.
woods here.
Oh, no.
The second one is what is,
Go north. Malloy.
Yep.
oh,
a little bit
here.
more Richard.
Yeah, so, yeah, here it is. So
But
there's,
No, back further, right?
Oh, it's town.
no,
owned
right
property.
here.
Right there, Malloy.
Well, I tell you, in case of an emergency, it's a lot of people to get out of there.
No, I agree with the Malloy Drive emergency access. I was just questioning the
Front
one that's
one.
further.
yeah, this
south.
one seems to have minimal impact on the people in this
Private.
subdivision, these two
Mhm.
houses.
Right.
This one,
Right.
not so much. This one
Right.
is, I think, would be found more bothersome by the neighbors.
Again, it's for emergency purposes. We're gonna refer this to the fire district and the fire marshal, and they're gonna be the end results to recommend it or not. So if they're coming back and recommending it, then I think it's something the planning board will have to consider.
There's one
Oh.
here is there one here at Maple? What's-
Yes.
Where is,
But that's right next to a
Not
private
now.
residence. There isn't anything now.
Yeah, there's nothing now. So even one is a lot better than what there is now.
Right. So go to the other side where you're going to take the units. Well, you're not going to, you're going to build new units. So which portion of the existing park will you be taking away?
Yeah, where Claire has her pointer.
No, I mean down below here.
Richard's handling this.
Oh, Richard's doing, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right here.
Which portions of the lower portion are you removing?
In between Old
It's
Country Road and.
half of these units here.
here, where?
Can't see the cursor.
Where my
I can't
yeah,
see
where
the cursor.
can't see it, yeah.
You see where Old Country Road is?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, now I see the cursor.
now go
Okay.
north and there's the railroad tracks. So it's those units sandwiched between Old Country Road and the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
All of those.
Okay.
half of them.
Half of them, the 21.
Half of
units.
those.
So half.
This is
to the
42.
Those are the old, that was the original old section.
Mhm, correct.
Correct.
So what are you taking, everything east of Elm Street or everything west of.
We're taking whatever the first 21 homes that become available to us are. I mean, we're going to try and spread them out throughout each one of these. There's sort of 4 areas here.
Mhm.
And we're going to try and distribute it among those 4 areas as best we can. Because the point here is to create space for septic systems in the front. Should we need to replace one in the front, that's sort of what drove this whole thing, is we can't put any septic systems in the front. So if we have all septic systems to code, I should say. So if we pack if everything in the front is left sort of in a packed in condition, that's helpful, but not optimal. So I can't tell you exactly which homes are going to go. It's really a function of what homes are sold over the next 10 years, what homes are abandoned over the next 10 years.
Richard, are there any that are empty now?
Yes.
Okay.
We have, I think it's 3 in this section here that are vacant, 1 in this section that's vacant. So we have 4 in the front that are vacant right now. So that's sort of, we've been warehousing those lots for a period of years. So we start with 4 right off the bat.
But it's your intention not to build anything new in this section,
No.
in this area?
No.
What will you do with it? You just grass it over and?
Yeah, correct. We'll remove whatever gravel or concrete is supporting the existing house, and then we'll just grass it over. And remove the cesspool, obviously, too.
And so what remains will be 22?
21. Moving 21, 21 will stay.
And are you going to upgrade the septics on the 21 that are staying?
If the health department requires it.
Okay.
Should we move on?
Yep, you had some questions.
Kim, did you have anything else about the report?
So can I just understand on the access? So we're going to do a referral to the fire department to see their recommendations for emergency exits? Is that what you were doing?
Yes, that would be definitely part of the process. Yep.
Okay.
But so right now we'd leave it as proposed emergency access, but subject to information from the fire.
So, but for starters, there has to be an interpretation from the building inspector as to whether or not this is a residence, which seems to me absurd. Because it is a mobile home park made up of manufactured buildings, Kim, which is where.
Respectfully, I deem it family.
Well,
Kim, what's the clearing limit for multifamily?
50.
No, it's not.
Under
The code says
330-67, multifamily lots or tracts amount of disturbance of natural vegetation shall not exceed 50.
multifamily.
But you're in
330 what?
330-67A3, multifamily lots or tracts where amount of disturbance of natural vegetation shall not exceed 50% of the area of the lot.
Are you reading APOD?
Yes.
And Pine Barrens compatible?
Pine Barrens is something different, but we would comply with the Pine Barrens. It's this part in the APOD that is at issue.
Well, you're in the Pine Barrens compatible area.
I know, but we comply with that.
You may be right. You may be right. Maybe I missed that part.
I'll see what the chief building inspector says.
Okay. Here we go. So I leave that as an issue at those 2 items, which is the 3 and the 4 square items, which I leave those in the issue at the end of the report. So the planning board finds the project should proceed with the site plan review with a public hearing if the project conforms with the town code. And I put items 3 and 4 as items to be.
If it complies with the town code.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I said.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, the if wasn't loud.
If, was the comments related to the easement appropriate? We're fine with that? And then the rear property and the dumping in the fencing, that's all typical, right?
Well, Richard, did you want to speak to the easement?
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to dedicate an easement. It just depends on how much of the property it covers.
We leave that up,
Okay.
as an open issue,
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, if everybody's good, we'll adopt the report.
Okay, motion to adopt the report by Zuccarelli, second by Dennis, all in favor? Opposed? Everybody, 6 in favor, 6 in favor. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time and your consideration. I serve on my Board of Finance, so I know what it's like to sit in long meetings.
Thankless job.
We both have a thankless job.
I think we enjoy it.
I enjoy it myself.
I think we're not looking for thanks so much. as we are
Thank you,
for
anyway.
planning.
Never get it.
Okay, we're moving on to the Bridge Staff Housing and Maintenance Building, Claire.
Yeah, if you could let Jake Watkins and Charles, I think he's on the list. And we had discussed last meeting this application. We had gone through the pre-submission reports. So I've updated it with any comments you had. And so we're prepared for this meeting to adopt the pre-submission report. And then the applicant has since submitted a full site plan application, which I've taken a look at. It looks complete. And you had said also that you would be willing to waive the public hearing because there was no public interest in it in the location of the units.
Who's the second name?
I don't think there was a second name, Jake.
Okay.
Nope, just one name.
Okay.
Sounds good. So those are the two actions. I'll just briefly show you the plans and we can discuss. So the two actions would be the first to adopt the pre-submission report, and the second would be to deem the application complete and to do SECR at the same time. I'm recommending a negative declaration, but we can look at those documents also. Any questions though before I start? I know it's a lot of information.
Yeah, okay.
These are the plans. I just want to show you the aerial first. So this is the area in question. It would go, this would be the area for the staff housing, and then this would be the area for the maintenance building. These are the latest plans. These were the plans shown. So this is staff housing in the maintenance area.
Did we look at the maintenance area? I thought we were only looking at the housing.
Yeah, no, I think you're looking at the maintenance area too. There was some discussion about separating the two issues out. But the maintenance area is also considered with this project. Yeah. Do you want to do something
anything about it?
Yeah, no, it's always been part of the application. It's just a standard Morton type building with metal siding. And so this is the pre-submission report. I've updated with everything the board had concluded the last time. So they've modified the units to have facilities so that complies with code. The only other question I had was whether there was a covered walkway at one point where when they had to walk to the other facilities. They've eliminated that. I'm not quite sure if the board wanted that or not. It's reinstated into the project between.
Any reason why they took it away?
It was, go ahead, Jake.
Jake?
The walkway, yeah, the covered, when we implemented the indoor facilities in each individual unit, the covered walkway didn't become necessary anymore, so.
So there was a little covered walkway here, but.
Right, not as an amenity, right? You're not including it as an amenity.
Right, exactly. Yep. So that was the only thing. So I can eliminate that and we can adopt the report. Do you want to see the?
Can you just show us the maintenance building?
Yeah,
Sure.
I
I'm
don't
not sure. Do you have a rendering of the maintenance building or just the elevations, right?
The elevations, yeah. It's also in that aerial that you kind of passed over as well.
Okay, let me just put the plans in the correct direction first.
I think we were so focused on the staff housing. I don't recall
Yeah.
the maintenance
No.
building at all
I
beyond.
I don't recall it at all either.
Yeah.
It's 8,000 square feet, right, Jake?
It's 8,000 square feet. It's literally a storage shed. There are no facilities going, there's no water going to it. There's code compliant lighting on the inside. There's an area around the outside that's being utilized for the movement of equipment. There's a large amount of equipment that's currently being stored outside as part of the existing maintenance facility, and it's outside throughout the year. And this is essentially a covered storage shed for that.
Is it a Morton metal building?
It's a metal building, single story, prefabricated steel frame, corrugated metal siding and roofing.
Okay.
Jake, I'm sorry, just identify yourself for the record.
My name is Jake Watkins with Roger Ferris and Partners Architects.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So those are my two actions. I have prepared a short form also, which I identified no impacts for the project. We had discussed whether our archaeological would be needed in this case, but you had determined no due to the non-disturbance of the grounds in this area. So that was the only point of contention. So I'm recommending a negative declaration and to waive the public hearing with 30-day written comment period. So those are my two actions. One is to adopt the pre-submission conference report. This is the first action. If you want to do that.
You have a motion to adopt the report by Dennis.
Motion.
Second by
Motion.
Zuccarelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 6 in favor.
Okay.
And then adopting a neg deck and waiving
The public hearing.
the
Right,
public
right,
hearing
30-day
for a
written comment.
30-day written comment period. Motion,
I'll make a motion for that.
Craig. Motion by Craig, second by Zuccarelli. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? 6 in favor.
And Jackie, I'm just going to have you sign that neg deck when I have it prepared. So
Okay.
put your stamp, just so you know. Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
You have the Hampton Bays District, 245 Rogers, the demolition of what I guess is the old, the old building that's there.
Right, exactly. So just going back to this. So this is the project we've been talking about, the secra and the traffic, which has been worked out. This is the building to be demolished, and they want to begin the site work for this area. So they provided a plan to that effect. This was one of the plans. This is the general plan. They've also provided, I think, this plan, yes, which the red and green. I'm sorry, I should have asked if you could let Kristen McCabe in, Charles.
But this is a simple demolition request, right? I mean, we're not looking at any kind of a site plan here.
No, not at all. Demolition of the building and to begin the site work associated with this project.
What does the red and green signify besides Christmas?
That I don't know. I actually need Kristen to come in if you had that question, because I don't actually know what that means. So
Very colorful.
it is here. I think Kristen, and I also, Guy Germano has issued a letter that says no vested rights. So I want to make sure that was part of the record also. Guy is also present if you want to let him in.
They're both in.
Great, thank you so much.
Hi, Kristen, do you want to
Yes.
tell us what the red and the green mean?
Eric Main from Bowler is our civil engineer. He's also on, if you could let him in. But basically, this is just showing the cut and the fill, where the earthwork is being cut and where it's being filled. And this site is neutral. There's no net. It's balanced, I should say.
The red is cut?
Import or export. I believe the red is cut. Eric, is that correct? Yes. You're muted, but we got the head shake.
Yes, that's correct. The red is the cut, the green is the fill. So this is just to indicate the balance of what needs to be graded. You know, if you look along the roadway, you'll see the green area is the berm that's being created. And then much of the rest of the site, if you're familiar, bowls out and downward. So that's why there's a lot of fill through the middle of the site.
Where do your trucks take away the demolition material? What's the path? What's the transportation route?
It's gonna be a balanced site. So really the only demo that's occurring is where the existing building is. You know, when you think of demo from a conventional standpoint, the existing building and the existing paved area. So that would come out the existing cut right below that note on the bottom of the plan that says existing building to be removed. That's where the existing curb cut is.
And where does the truck, where do your demolition trucks go? Do they go back? They go into town my question is, where do you unload your materials?
I don't know where the specific facility is, Kristen. I don't know if you have that information from Drew.
Probably would not be local.
I don't.
More than likely not. Yeah.
No, I would say no.
So you head north onto.
More than likely north. Yeah, and
And west.
material gets manifested. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I just checked with our director of construction, and he said that there is an affidavit that's submitted with the application to the building department. He mentioned Winter Brothers was the contractor for the trucking, but I'd have to get back to you on exactly the facility that's taking it. But it is, I guess, tracked and, like Eric said, manifested through the building department as required by the town.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you're prepared, I can write a resolution that's based upon that plan, okays the demo of the building, and they are permitted to commence site work with no
grading. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So do I have a motion to approve this demolition by Gloria, second by Dennis? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstention? Someone saying something to me? Oh, 6 in favor? Okay. Was someone speaking in the middle of that? No, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
And then the site plan modification for the master plan for Bridgehampton Commons. You had requested at the last meeting on February 11th some comparisons of how the master plan would look for the individual units. So they've provided that, which is helpful. The applicants to be let in, like Lisa Poyer, good, thank you. And I think Doris Ennis is the other entity. So let me just see if I think she was in there. Yep, thank you, Charles. They've put together a master plan which continues to say the units that are under 8,000 square feet are that green and gold, but with logos permitted if they're less than 25%. This would be without planning board and ARB review. The larger units could have prototypical colors if they are based upon the town's administrative color plans. And again, 25% logos. This would be out without planning board and ARB review. I continue to not recommend that. That seems to be allowing anything to happen in those signs. So I recommend that if master sign plan goes forward, that you allow the green and gold for under 8,000 square feet and review signage for the larger units, which there are 5 of them. Right now they are proposing to, they have all the different iterations, which I will, show you of the plan, so you can consider them now with this application. And that's what I recommend, that the master plan go forward.
Claire, that's clear. I read the sign code again this week, and there are no colors that the town recommends. There's only a requirement for no more than 3 colors. That's what's in the code. So there was reference to, we will use the colors the town recommends. Town doesn't recommend any colors, just no more than 3. And there's also, I was concerned about use of logo, and there is no prohibition for logos in the sign code. So that was an issue here in terms of,
I think
because you've included logos.
Jackie, I think you should check with the Architectural Review Board, because when I was on, there was groups of colors that were not recommended, told how to be used. They couldn't go outside of that without.
Yeah.
So
well, I read the code, and it only talks about no more than 3 colors.
No, that's the number of colors per sign. But
yeah.
Besides that, there is a I don't know, a grouping of colors that not recommended, are told that that's the color. If you want a red, they'll give you 2 or 3 different reds. Check with the Architectural Review Board. They would know.
There is that. You're right, John. So there is a part of the code that allows an administrative process if you're doing a simple sign in a certain area, if you follow these colors. So, and then there's a list of colors. There's a lot of them. And we have them stuck in our code. They're not very easily pulled out of the town code. It's for an administrative process. Something that, if you want to administratively approve a sign. So just so you know that there is something in there, but we can get that to you, Jackie. I've been looking for it in a form that I could send, and I haven't found it yet. So.
Yeah.
Could I be heard? Could I be heard?
Who's he?
Tim McCully.
Tim McCully.
Okay, Tim, identify yourself.
41 Meeting House Lane, Southampton. We gave you a palette of those colors that fit in the administrative review, and we limited what.
Yeah, she's on, Wayne.
Well, I thought we made that pretty specific.
The Dunkin' Donuts in Bridgehampton.
Can you, John Berkwin, can you mute yourself? Thank you.
Yeah, no, we know. We're aware of the gold and the green. Yeah.
No, not the gold and the green. The other colors that we were talking about, right? We didn't we give them a palette?
I don't remember. I don't remember seeing it.
Pardon me?
I don't remember seeing it.
Okay, but we did submit it, and we did pick out the colors within that administrative list.
Okay, so
we thought that we would be using, but in any event, it's there someplace. So
we can resubmit it.
We can resubmit it for you.
There are 19 stores that fall under the green and gold palette based on size, right?
21. This is Doris Ennis from Kimco Realty, 500 North Broadway, Jericho, New York. I believe it's 21 subtenants.
Well, I had a question. You have 19 stores with green and gold. Number 24, if we can pull that up, is Walgreens, which is a size similar to the 19 stores, and yet it's not in the green and gold. And the same with number 26, Marshall's, which is blue and not red, like 25, 27, 28. So I wanted to know why that was so.
Sure.
The Walgreens number 24.
In reference to Walgreens, when we created the master sign plan language, we updated the criteria to be 8,000 square feet or above. So now it was with a uniform sign, and now it will be changed to a prototype sign. So that's the distinction.
But it's 2 feet 6 inches by 11, so.
Let's take a look at it.
It's given the frontage of the facade, it won't allow the sign to be up top. So it needs to be located in the band.
Correct.
So the other storefronts up top have facade that is not glass or with a window. So therefore, with this particular one, it needs to be down in that lower white band where the other green and gold signs are typically going to be located. This
So
one,
this is a much larger sign.
Correct.
And so what, I'm interested to know what you're thinking is about making these signs red. Marshall's is red, Walgreens is red, King Cullen is red. Was there some, well, the Marshall's is the blue, right?
Correct.
And not red. Is that a Marshall's color or?
That's the Marshall color.
right, Walgreens, their standard signs are red. You know, King Cullen's sign is red. Kmart's sign is red.
And Staples?
Staples is white. And so we're going from blue
Right.
to white.
Right. Well, my thinking about this is that the green and gold signs certainly fit muster, but I don't believe that the planning board is going to give up sign approval, as Claire said, on the others.
And I just want to understand the Walgreens. It's not green and gold because there's a window.
I didn't catch that.
I said the Walgreens sign is not, because it's a smaller store, so it doesn't meet the 8,000 square foot criteria.
Correct. So we had a threshold for 8,000 square feet or above would be allowed prototypical signage. And I believe that Walgreens is slightly above 8,000 square feet. So they're now allowed to have, based on the master sign plan update, their prototypical signage.
So Gloria, and so the Walgreens store area inside is greater than 8,000 square feet. However, given the facade of the building, it does not allow us to put the Walgreens sign in the upper gray area because there's a window there right now. So it would be a prototypical red sign in the Walgreens font, but located in that lower band, which is currently where the sign is located.
And
that's where it is currently, but much smaller.
Correct.
So how is the existing sign, where is that affixed to? It's the same place, right?
Yes, in that white facade band.
But you're suggesting to double the size of it in type. Just trying to understand what you're proposing here. It's twice the size, the Walgreens, compared to what you've got.
Right, and given as per the sign regulations, we fit well within the allowed area of wall facade area that is per the code, the 1.5 square feet per linear length of wall space.
Mhm.
Our proposed sign meets that.
Right.
We're going from a 20.24 sign area to 27.5.
Got it. So using Claire's language, I don't think that the planning board is going to give up approval authority on the large signs. What you're proposing to change to is, I mean, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think that the green and the gold look quite good. They have consistency in terms of color and lighting. And you've been able to put in a logo and not exceed, which we've never had before.
What you say?
So we could take a discussion with the board, but in general, the green and gold, so long as the logo does not exceed the 25% sign area.
Right. It looks like you've designed the logos in there that don't exceed.
And not all stores want logos, as you can see in the package. Some of the stores
Not
don't.
too many, but most of them. I mean, I've never seen some of the logos, but
You know, Verizon has a check mark. That's their logo. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's a small area.
Right. So, I mean, how does everybody else feel about those green and gold signs with the logos in?
I don't know if mine is a comment or a question, probably directed towards Lisa. I spent a pretty good amount of time adhering to brand guidelines in my professional life. Green and gold, especially as it relates to AT&T, is definitely off-brand. are they going to even allow their signage in green and gold?
I mean, right now their sign is blue,
Okay,
and they've agreed through this process to adhere to those requirements.
okay.
I mean, Dunkin' Donuts, you know, the same thing is everything right now is blue.
Right.
So
So this is the master sign plan that we're adjusting for these.
You have to be
smaller
very,
stores.
you have to be very careful of monotony. In other words, if all the signs tend to be the same color, the same size, and the same font, the eye doesn't catch what it is. And the eye has fonts that people remember. Also, the example is Shell Oil gasoline. You see their logo, you know immediately what it is. So if you start putting there, when people start driving, there's more stop and go to see what sign it really is.
John, all the typefaces change. All the fonts are different here.
But also the colors don't. So
Well, the color is the master sign plan for conformity. I mean, the sign code, our sign code asks for that, particularly in shopping centers.
You have to realize the only identifying thing is the sign within the area, not on the road. It just says whatever they want to call the particular
Bridgehampton Commons, right?
Yeah, the common.
Right.
So a lot of times people want to look and see what's there, and if you have the monotony of the same size, the same colors, people don't get it. So you know, we can let it go, but you should realize what the result could be.
So what about the larger signs? Anybody want to weigh in on those? Other than what they've proposed will work, but that we want approval for any change moving forward. Claire, is that the language? Claire?
Yeah, sorry. I just want to give you the examples again.
Of the large ones, yeah.
And I mean, I'm not quite sure how you want to play this because the ARB has not weighed in on this at all. You know, so you're going to do a secret action on this when you deem this complete. Do you want the feedback of the ARB first?
Yeah, I think they absolutely. Yeah, sure. They should be a referral. Yeah.
These are acceptable to you. I mean, they are pretty plain. So,
yeah, I mean, I looked through all of them. I think that.
But let's, you know, maybe the next step is we give it to the ARB, which is a lot for the ARB to look at. They usually look at one or two signs, and now they're going to look at.
Well, it's the master plan. Actually, the Kmart logo is the proposed one is much nicer than the old one.
Did you go
Marshalls is Marshalls.
Did you go back to the King Cullen one?
Sure.
Claire, thank you.
Yeah, I think it was the first one.
Last one.
Last one? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's I saw. I keep pointing at the screen, but you can't see what I'm doing. I caught the crown up to the upper right, and so I see it now. It's the eye.
Yeah.
It's over the eye. Yeah.
I was wondering where that was, because my eye didn't see it in as part of the King Cullen.
Right.
So this was approved. This was approved.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, as is, and that they're just proposing a color change essentially. So I don't have. I mean, let's send it to the ARB.
Okay.
I don't have. I think that the 19 or 21 signs are okay, and.
So it'd be a change to the master sign plan under 8,000 square feet with a logo of 25% with the green and gold, and anything above on the larger units of 8,000 more would be subject to planning board and ARB approval.
Basically, yes.
Okay, so I mean, if you don't mind adjusting the master sign plan, Lisa.
Okay.
Say that, and then we'll get a referral over to ARB. Be prepared. We'll get them on for the next meeting. I would think it's going to take them a couple meetings. you know, just to look through it all, but maybe they can if we send them out times.
Claire, where are we on secret and your coordinating or whatever you're going to do with it?
Yeah, I just feel, and I just said that to the board, I feel much more comfortable if we had the ARB viewpoints before, because we may not be following their regulations. So they have their own standards to approve applications. So I would like some feedback.
All right, but if it's a master plan, you get to approve it, the planning board, not
Yeah,
the.
but the planning board always makes their decisions
Yeah.
based upon ARB feedback. So
Right,
yeah.
And I just want to thank you for preparing the documents, because now we could see what you're proposing, which we could not see before and that we've been asking for. So it's quite clear now.
Okay. So if I understand it correctly, at this particular time, you're okay with the green and gold on the smaller things?
Yes.
With the logos and let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Okay.
we'll move forward with the larger prototypical sign reviews.
Individually, yep.
Okay.
Okay. And you'll update the master sign plan, get it to me, and then we'll get this over to the ARB. The faster you do that, so it's just the written documents
Okay.
you need to change. The faster you get that to me, the faster I can get it to the
Do
ARB.
you want me to include that ARB administrative color chart?
Well, you're not asking for that anymore, right?
No, just send it to us.
So you're not asking for an administrative process with the bigger signs. And the board's giving that feedback that they're not going to grant that. So it's kind of pointless.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank
Just
you.
a suggestion when you send the stuff to the ARB, because I think I finally understood today exactly what we were being asked to look at. If you could put a paragraph together that sort of talks about the small signs, they're all typed alike, they're all this color. They may have a logo, and then the big stuff, here's the uniques for each one of those big ones, because now it makes much more sense than it did a month ago for me.
Yeah, so it's two actions we're asking them to look at. Is one is the master sign plan, and here's the example of how it will be implemented, right, with the green and gold. And the second action is here's the individual 6 larger units, or I'm sorry, how many there are, and their particular signs. So there's 2 actions.
Yeah,
So.
which because my lipo just screwed in, so
No, it's a lot, definitely. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Jackie Fenlon, you're here. Okay, Tiana Development, lot 17, 18, 19, abandonment of a road.
Yes. Charles, could you please let in Candace Clanahan?
She's in.
Great, thank you. All right, let me share the screen.
Is someone's radio on? Can you just silence,
No.
mute?
No, it was my dog. I'm sorry. I'm trying to silence him.
Oh, that's all right, Robin. Just mute yourself until you want to talk.
I'm trying to work on that. That's what I was doing.
It's running away.
So this is a request for a road abandonment for the private unimproved paper street next to 8 Neptune Avenue. So the applicant, this is the subject property, which is currently improved with the house. They are requesting to abandon this portion of Hampton Road right here. And this is the survey that you can see. They have an existing access here. The shed does already kind of go over the line, but this would give them the additional space. This is a 6,000 square foot property. And as a result, I think it would be approximately 8,000 square feet. So it'd become more conforming in lot size. And Candace Clanahan is here if you have any questions for her as well.
Any questions on this? Okay, hearing none. May I have a motion to approve the resolution of no objection?
Motion.
By Zuccarelli, second by Dennis, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Thank you. We have 2 re-veg plans. Matthew?
Yes. The first one is George Humphreys Jr. and Paul Russell, lot parcel 1. This is 393 Little Noyak Path. I had the opportunity to go out to the parcel on the 5th just to check the existing. Pretty big piece, just under 128,000 square feet. They're doing a lot of re-veg work in the edge. All their existing clearing was, accurate. As you can see, prototypical species here, some flowering dogwood, pitch pine. They're limited to 25%, which about, they're over by about 11,000 square feet. This plan will bring them into compliance, and they have all of our new conditions that we worked hard on.
Great, thank you. Motion to approve this re-veg plan by Gloria, and second by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. Then you have the Lily Pond Estates, lot number 37.
On to the next one. This is out in Sag Harbor, off of the Turnpike. Smaller piece of property, 22,000 square feet. They're limited to 60%. It was mostly lawn area underneath this. Applicants looking to put a pool in. They were over cleared. This is their plan. It's going to bring them into compliance a little bit in the front and on the sides. Again, more of the same oaks and blueberries. Just about 7,000 square feet of re-veg at 10 Whalers Drive.
That's a lot of re-veg.
Yeah, for the size. I mean, the good thing is, Glorian, they retained most of all their trees on the site. They just had, over the years, the natural understory had been replaced with
Yes.
lawn.
Okay, motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Zuccarelli, second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor.
Thank you.
And then Jackie, you have a deer fence.
On Jackie,
You're
you're
muted.
muted.
Sorry, which Jackie?
I'm not muted.
I was
The
muted.
deer fence.
Sorry, that is off the agenda.
Okay, 22 is off, but you had an add-on, right?
Oh, I do, yes.
A Bridgehampton Associates, you want to do that?
Yeah, so they, they got their plans in, and when they were finalizing their building permit, they realized that they needed to comply with FEMA standards that they previously did not. So they asked to amend that with an administrative review. The building got slightly wider, but it's still the same integrity of what was approved before, but that delayed their building permits, and they just submitted their building permits recently. So they're requesting the standard 2-year reapproval, which would allow them to comply with the existing site plan and admin approval.
Okay. Any questions on that? Can I have a motion? Sorry, motion by Dennis, second by, somebody give me a second?
John.
Zuccarelli.
Zuccarelli.
Got you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor.
Thank you.
Okay, EMC and MTG. Claire?
Yep. I just wanted to, I was going to try to pull up the screen here. This is just an update to update the SECRA. We had done the original SECRA on this project for the 3 lots, and now there's a 2-lot subdivision with the health departments. You had granted a waiver for this. This is simply to update it to be from 3 lots to 2 lots, with one of the lots being granted, obviously. In this case, the town is owning the 2nd lot on this case. So it's just to clean up some paperwork. And to redo the secret negative declaration for the project, and then have Jackie sign it. So I have the resolution in the packet for consideration if you want to consider it.
Any comments? If not, a motion?
Motion.
Reconsidered by Gloria, second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Signed plans.
24 is off the agenda and 25 is an acknowledgement.
Okay, 25 Toss Flying Point is an acknowledgement. Great. Just for tonight, we're going to take the Fisher organization before the 7-11 or 9/11 Flanders LLC, because there are more people for that.
Jackie, I'm not in this evening.
You're not? Okay, Dennis. I think we have a quorum, right? Yes.
We'll have 5.
Yeah, we have 5. So a motion to adjourn till 6. Motion by Dennis, second by Zuccarelli, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, extension, 6 in favor. We are adjourned.